Today, we are going to be taking a closer look at why video game companies are releasing so many high-quality, successful games, but are unfortunately laying off their employees in like record numbers.
Two things can be true. There's never been a better time to play and enjoy video games.
Yeah.
True. Also true, there's never been a worse time to be in the video game industry.
Yeah.
How does it work? I don't know,
How is
but we're
this
gonna dig into
happening?
it.
Yeah, it's not the funnest thing, but something that we should talk about, and hopefully we can get to the bottom of why this is going on.
Yeah.
Yes. As always, everything that we do on this channel is made possible by our wonderful Patreon subscribers. Thank you so much for all of your support. If you'd like to join us, we are at patreon.com/KitandKrysta.
When we say that Patreon makes it all possible, we have a real proof point for that today.
Yes.
Maybe you've noticed it sounds a little echoey in here today.
Background looking a little sparse.
Big news for us is that we are moving into a new space.
Yay!
Wow.
It's been about a little over a year and a half since we started this grand adventure together, building an amazing, incredible community that we couldn't ask for, a better, all of you guys are just amazing, so we couldn't have asked for a better community. And we've been doing this all out of my mom's spare bedroom.
So true.
Teeny tiny room that has been great because it was free. But now we've really outgrown the space, and we want to, of course, keep doing more things for all of you, creating more content, doing more things together. And it is time for us to take the exciting step of leaving the nest of my mom's house and moving into our own space.
Yeah, I think we've both been, looking back, and it's been about a year and a half since we started making content. I think it was closer to 2 years that we started taking real steps of like bringing stuff over here.
Yes.
So, it's been a long time, and things have really grown and changed. And I think this is going to bring a lot of positives for all of you.
Right.
Just one example of that is, this is a little bit far. It's a bit of a far drive for us to get to. So there was kind of a cap on how much stuff we could do together. And we have a great solution for recording things remotely.
Yeah.
But I think we'd all agree, like, it's better when we're, in the same room doing stuff. So this is going to make that easier. We would have to, physically rearrange the room if we wanted to do anything other than sitting at this table doing a podcast, which was just getting to be a drag. So now we have space. It's in a great place.
Yeah.
We're feeling
We're feeling really
energized.
good.
We're feeling very excited about the future.
Yes.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, the other thing that I have just been feeling a little bit bummed out about, and I kind of feel like sometimes you tell me like I'm a deadbeat this week. Like I definitely feel like a deadbeat for like 2 years on this on this particular aspect of what we do, which is streaming.
Oh,
like
yes.
you poor thing have had to really take like the brunt of figuring out how this all works. We have a very complex streaming setup because we are recording from 2 different locations. And there's all these issues that happen that are very frustrating. We've had to cancel streams because technically it just did not work. I've had to be a chat bot, which was weird and fun, but also not ideal.
I didn't mind it.
In our new space though, we actually get to stream together.
Yeah, we'll stream together.
We'll get to play games
It'd be great.
together.
You can actually play the game.
I can actually play the game.
Yes.
We can play multiplayer games
Right.
in the same room like we used to.
Right.
That was what we used to love to do. Shocker. We like to play video games together. And we want to share that with you guys.
The other fact is, this house and this room, like many of your mothers, home doesn't have the best internet.
Oh my gosh.
Mom internet is a thing.
My mom's internet
It's
is
a condition
the worst.
that internet has. It's not great.
Yeah. There was moments where we've had to do a very quick turn
Yes.
video. Something happened.
Breaking news.
Breaking news. We want to make a video to talk about it, and we need to upload it immediately.
Right.
And it would be I would have to sit next to the router, basically.
We'd get it done in the morning, but the video could not release until the afternoon.
I know.
Literally, because we were
Yeah.
just sitting here twiddling our thumbs like losers.
Right.
Right.
So anyways, the point is that our new space and being able to move to a proper space with a studio just lets us like it just opens us up for so many more cool things
Yeah.
that we can do together for all of you, and we're just so excited about it. It's gonna be great.
So this is actually the final thing right here, this video that we are filming in this room. So it is a little bit bittersweet.
Yes.
Really come to love this space, and I think a lot of you enjoyed it as well. But hope to create something new and equally wonderful in the new place.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be a little bit sad. We've been saying goodbye to my mom for like 2 weeks, and she is definitely sad.
Now you have no reason to visit your dear mother again.
That's not true. You brought her a nice gift today.
I brought her a great gift. Yes.
So it's very sweet. I think she'll miss us, but we'll definitely be back. We have like, we ever want to do a cooking video.
This is a great place to do
or
this.
some other kinds of videos here. We wanted her to have her back on camera to do some sort of like music type video because she's a piano teacher, as you guys know. So that would be really fun. So we'll be back. This is not the last. If you've seen of Mama Yang, she is here.
Very true.
Very supportive, but she is here.
Yeah. So after we finish this, we're packing up the rest of this and driving off to the new place. Yes. So one other thing that we have on the way, you can look forward to this. It's still a tiny bit of ways off, but last year we did a great video, which was, can we get a street pass in the year 2022? A year has passed. Street pass is still a thing. We're doing the same video. Can you get a street pass in 2023, but with a few wrinkles?
Yeah, we are going to continue to do these videos until the year 2035, unless the Switch 2 has Street Pass, in which case we're going to have a giant Street Pass meetup. But this time, so last time when we did, can you get a Street Pass in 2022, our thought was like, let's go to a place where there are people and there's potentially like a video game, like a GameStop or something like that.
Yeah, went to the mall.
That was our plan when we went to the mall. We did not get a Street Pass that time. This time, we were like, okay, we need a higher concentration of our peoples that love, video games, that love like, things around, adjacent to video games.
Game adjacent, yes.
Anime, comic books. Where do we go for that? We decided to go to San Francisco, Japantown, which has lots of little shops, a lot of different sort of nooks and crannies where there are sort of these kinds of people and things that maybe someone would have a street pass, would have their 3DS with them. Did we get a street pass? You're going to have to watch the video.
Do not spoil it.
Find out.
Yes.
And we refused to do like the shooting the fish in the barrel method of like, let's just get it at PAX. Like, that's fine. We do bring our 3DSs to PAX to get street pass from our friends, but like, that's too easy. You want the thrill of the street pass hunt.
Every year that passes, street passes probably get harder to get, is the truth, because we get further away from the 3DS. Okay, one funny thing happened that is not a spoiler for this video. You saw like an 11-year-old kid, and you're like, oh, I bet he's street passing. And it's like, this kid was not alive when the 3DS came out. He doesn't know what a 3DS is. He doesn't care.
He does care.
He just got out of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie.
No.
He's gonna go drink some Logan Paul Prime.
Oh man.
And he's on with his life. He is not street passing. That was so funny.
He was in a store looking
You've
at
never
Pokemon.
been more out of touch. You've never been more out of touch.
He was at the store looking at Pokemon.
Everybody loves Pokemon. Pokemon's still with us. Always going to be with us. Street passing
That's so sad. What are these kids doing these days with that they're not street
They're chugging Prime and going to Five Nights at Freddy's.
Sounds like
There's
a
the answer.
terrible life.
There's the answer. Get with it.
I feel sad for the children of the day. It's like an old lady thing to say. Kids these days.
You've never been more out of touch.
Get off my lawn. Get off my lawn unless you have a street pass,
We did, this was kind of, had nothing to do with the street passing. We made a great buy at Japantown, which is Nintendo related, not game related though.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll not spoil it, but I'm very excited that we have this.
I have it.
You have this, right?
I'm going to bring it to the new office so we can have it
Good.
there. So we can.
It's very cool. It's very cool. We'll show it off again after that video comes out.
Yes.
So you can look forward to that.
Very exciting stuff.
Yeah. We are moments away from our discussion of layoffs in the video game industry, but first we got to shout out our sponsor. Another new sponsor. This episode is sponsored by Uncommon Goods. If you want to hear where'd you get that this holiday season, Uncommon Goods is your secret weapon. Uncommon Goods is here to make your holiday shopping stress-free by scouring the globe for the most remarkable and truly unique gifts for everyone on your list. Whether you're shopping for your Secret Santa or your entire family, Uncommon Goods knows exactly what they want. I made my very first
Holiday
purchase of the year.
Oh boy.
On Uncommon Goods.
Nice.
For my mother.
That's perfect.
Mom, if you're listening, plug your ears. I got her this kind of book reader's set, I think it was. So it's like this wooden tray that has kind of like a pointy thing on it, so you can leave your book on your page there.
Oh, I love that.
It has a cup holder. It has a little nook to put your glasses. My mom's always reading books. She's got just like sprawled out on a table.
Yeah.
No more.
Now she can just like take the whole thing with her.
Right.
She's
So
going from
everything
room.
that I need for my reading session is all right
And
here.
she won't lose her glasses. My mom loses
Right.
her glasses all the time.
Right.
I lose my glasses all the time.
Yeah.
So now you can just put it next to your book.
It was something I'd never seen before. This is, you think like, oh gosh, like shopping for people, especially your family, it's hard. It's like I'm on year whatever of trying to buy something for so and so, but there is like a lot of different stuff on Common Good that I had not seen before.
Right, they support a lot of artists and small independent businesses, which is I think why you're seeing so many unique gifts. I have a friend with a birthday coming up. You listen to this podcast, so do not listen to this person.
Do they know who it is? You've not mentioned them by name.
I'm not going to,
Good.
but please don't. They might know because it's like a gift that is perfect for them. Anyways, I found this really beautiful piece of jewelry for them. They're always looking. They have a very unique style. They're always looking for unique pieces of jewelry. This one is they sort of do this thing where they encase your birth flower into this resin heart, and it becomes a pendant.
Wow.
So it's really cool. It's really personal, really unique. I've never seen anything like that before. I think it's thoughtful. It's a very thoughtful and beautiful gift. And yeah, it was really easy to get it and order, and I think it ships very quickly as well. So I get it in a couple days, and I'll be all ready to go.
I'm sorry to inform you, I did not know what my birth flower is.
I don't know what yours is either.
But yes, they have products that are high quality, unique, often handmade or made in the United States, and just great stuff, like we were saying, that is hard to find elsewhere. And with every purchase you make, they give back $1 to nonprofit partner of your choice, and they've donated more than $2.5 million to date.
Wow.
So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/KitKrysta. That's uncommongoods.com/KitKrysta for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
We'll put the link right over here and also in the description below. Don't sleep on your holiday shopping. Start now, people.
All right. The story of layoffs in the video game industry. It's only right that we did our big Game Awards nominations episode last week, which was a big celebration of all the great games that we have been enjoying this year, 2023. Maybe this is a future episode. Where does 2023 rank on the best years for video games ever?
Absolutely,
it's up there.
Stacked, right?
It's up there.
The amount of AAA games that we saw this year.
Yeah, and I think it was like the day after we recorded that episode, it was the Bungie layoffs, and that was what really drove this whole other round of conversation around these layoffs. But frankly, these layoffs have been happening all year long.
Right.
From the very beginning of the year till now. And I hate to say it, there'll probably be more by the time the year is up.
Right, right.
So it's just an unprecedented time for, these companies to be making great games and to be selling them in record numbers, but at the same time be slashing the teams of the people who are actually making the things.
Right, right.
Which feels counterintuitive. Doesn't feel right, but we'll talk a little bit more about who's impacted, and then we have some theories of why this is happening. And again, if we were Mr. or Mrs. Big Boss, not the Metal Gear Big Boss, they got different problems.
They have more other issues.
What would we do to fix this? How do we fix this?
Yeah.
Maybe for the Big Boss, you don't care.
Might be a little out of touch if you're the big boss.
If you're the big boss, you're lighting your cigar with your $100 bill. I don't know.
Maybe that's part of the problem.
Right, right. So let's just go through a few of these. So Bungie, who is now owned by Sony, noteworthy. They had to lay off a bunch of people. They were talking about how Destiny, which is their big game, Destiny 2, has really fallen off, and they were going to really be struggling to meet their projections for the year.
A huge miss, 45% below their projections, which is a giant number.
I'm not a Destiny player, but I know Destiny 2's been going for several years. I think a common thread with some of these companies and these games is these are live service games that people are trying to extend forever to get people to pay money for forever. It's a hard thing to do.
Right.
Another company that Sony owns, Media Molecule, which is a smaller team, they've had to lay people off as well. And you wonder, like, well, what's the deal with Sony here? Like, they own these studios. Their games business is one of their best businesses overall at Sony.
Why, are these studios being?
Why do you have to do this? Isn't the point of being acquired?
So you don't.
We have security.
Yeah. By a big company like Sony?
Of the big company.
Right.
Thank goodness. We don't have to worry about going month to month. Are we going to make it? Well, you do now. Specific to Sony, and this happened, Naughty Dog, they mostly laid off contractors, but a lot of the Sony, it seems to be like a Sony-wide initiative to do the,
like
quote,
a big sweep.
belt tightening.
Yeah. Just blame the economic concerns for it,
Right. And we've talked about this a lot this year, and I think really since we started this, which is like Sony's in this weird position where you would think they're on top of the world based on how things are going, but they, I think, are on more unsettled ground than you might think, just because every game is such a big investment and bet that if those do not pay off in the way they need to, it could be really damaging.
And it could, from an outside perspective, look like it's paying off because the games do get like highly
fastest selling PlayStation game ever,
right? Or like huge positive Metacritic scores, review scores. But those sales numbers are probably way more aggressive than you imagine it to be.
And the budgets.
Because the budgets are
sometimes you get a whiff of these budgets
charts.
and it's like, oh my God.
Yeah, to just break even on that, you would need significant, sales. And I don't know if every single one of these big, huge budget games are meeting that metric. So it could be a lot shakier than you would think.
The canary in the coal mine for Sony, for me, is Sean Layden. Do you follow him on Twitter? He's the former head of PlayStation. And anytime there's a story talking about, AAA games are out of control, these budgets are getting unwieldy, there's so much risk involved, like, he is always, like, quote tweeting that with, like, yep. Sure how things felt to me, like stuff like that. And it's like he knows, like he lived
through this,
So if he is out there saying that and putting that message out there, it's like, this is really dicey.
Yeah.
And how sustainable is it? I don't know. I mean, they've been doing this. They've avoided a huge dog of a game for several years now, but at some point you can't always
win that
gamble. You can't always win.
Yeah, exactly.
Microsoft,
this was a big one.
Another huge company. This was much earlier in the year. Laid off a lot of people.
It was across the company, so it was not just the game side, but still.
Games was affected, and it was like big studios like 343, Bethesda. So there's no company that's really immune to this, and it almost feels like it's the opposite, where it's like the bigger the company, the higher your risk is.
Yeah.
Which is so, again, counterintuitive.
Right.
And I just found this list of like companies that have done layoffs this year, and it's like
really long.
Yeah, it's like, all right, we got CD Projekt Red, we got Unity, we got EA, we got Ubisoft, we got Take-Two, we got Riot Games, we got all the it just like goes on and on and on.
And then you have tons of other like gaming, like the other side of the industry, like media.
Right.
Games media have also seen a huge sort of huge wave of layoffs as well.
And
so just all across the board is
that I will say, it has been sadly more consistent.
Yes.
Like the games media place being just a very unsteady place to be.
Right.
That's just sadly something that is continuing.
Right.
So, it's like we're into like thousands of people who have lost
more than
their job.
Yeah.
This year. So, I want to talk just a little bit about like why is this happening, and why now?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Well, I think what you were saying before is a really good point. Is like a lot of these layoffs are happening with studios that have the live service games.
Right.
where you get lulled into this thing where you're like, oh my God, this is the hottest game ever.
It's the shiny object theory.
Fortnite is
Right.
the hottest. Everyone's
We got to make a
playing
Fortnite.
Oh my gosh,
Where's my
we
Fortnite?
need to do it now. We need to like massively hire tens of thousands of people to do that and to keep our live service games going. But you know what? The cycle is always the same. Like things will ebb and flow, right? Things are going to fall out of popularity.
Right.
You know, that's just naturally how entertainment works. And if you don't account for that, I think then you are in the situation where you cannot support a staff that you had brought on to do the things that are no longer a priority for the company or popular or making you the money that you need to sustain your business, and then you get these like mass layoffs.
It's very similar, I feel, to what happened with MMOs after World of Warcraft came out,
Right.
where it's like, oh my God, this is the amazing new thing. They're making
Yeah.
money hand over fist. We got to do this. But the thing about these games, and the same with live service, is like if a game is made for you to spend every moment you have in it, then by design, only a handful of those can be winners. And the
Right.
rest are going to be major losers.
Right, right.
So it's just not reasonable for so many people to say, I'm going to make this game and it's going to be great and I'm going to make all this money when the player base just can't sustain it. And frankly, it's very expensive and resource intensive to make a game and keep feeding it content like that as well. Like not everybody's cut out to do that. A lot of companies shouldn't even try.
Right. And the thing that happens, I think, is you get your entire business is dependent on this one thing.
Yeah.
So now you've not diversified your workforce, you've not diversified your business strategies. And once that one thing, your one thread is cut, there is no fallback. You know what I mean? Like it's not like you can pivot to the other thing that you've already also put equal resources
Right.
into as your safety net. You
Right.
don't have a safety net.
So speaking of Sony, like they have been talking about how many live service games they have in development. And this is, a major point of concern for them, I think, going forward, and should be. I do wonder now that they're going under new leadership, are they going to reassess and say, hey, is this the right move? I mean, not a lot of these games have been announced yet. And the Naughty Dog Last of Us live service game seems to not be happening now.
Right.
Like, that could be a good, last second save. If they're like, actually, we're not going to do a dozen live service games.
Yeah.
Based on what's happening.
Should reevaluate this business model and see if that's actually going to be feasible for us in the long term.
Exactly. And even Epic, who makes Fortnite, the big one, they had to do layoffs too because they're like, we're not making enough money off of Fortnite. Well, if they can't do it.
Because they only have to do the one thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
But even, they have Unreal Engine, which you would think is the golden goose.
Yeah.
And should sustain a lot given how many people use that outside of gaming too. If they can't do it, what are you thinking? I wouldn't want to make a live service game.
Oh, yeah, that's
Seems
so
terrible.
risky.
Yeah.
It's incredibly risky.
Another thing that again, a lot of these are hard to prove, but I feel like this is a thing. So early on in the year, it was this trend of these big tech companies doing really big layoffs. So you have Google,
Meta.
Microsoft, we talked about, Facebook. They all did these huge layoffs.
It was crazy, 30,000 people at a time layoffs.
And I think if you're the head of a company and you see these quote leaders in business, nobody's doing better business than Google, and if they just laid off all their people, maybe I should do that too.
Right.
Maybe this is my way to get rich fast.
Yeah.
There's just kind of a fall again, kind of this follow the leader mentality.
Yeah, exactly.
Or also you think oh, it's okay. Because,
That's what I
because
think.
I'm doing it. Hey, they did it. Hey, if they got to do it, then we got to do it too.
Yeah,
Don't blame me.
You're not the first to do this horrible thing. Everyone's now used to seeing in the news.
Yeah, and you can just blame it on this bigger trend of hey, the economy's bad.
That's what I was saying before. Is everyone, when you look at all those Q&As from business leaders about why layoffs and what happened, and everyone wants to know how did you as the leader of this big company, how did you let this happen?
Yeah,
because that is your responsibility. The reasonings are always super vague. It's economic downturn, and so on and so forth. But it doesn't really address the actual things that's happening within your company that's causing this bad situation or like that's led to this bad situation. But I totally agree that it's one of those things where it's like, well, so-and-so did it, and I can't look worse than that person, so might as well do it too, you know?
Yeah, or maybe you were thinking about it, but you were like, it's going to be hard.
It's going to be a bad look.
People are going to be mad, but now you can just be like, hey, everybody's doing it. We're victims too. We got to do it too.
Yeah, it's so easy to pile on, as they say, to something that is already a trend that's already happening. It's a terrible thing to do because I think it just causes more and more people to like pile on, right?
Right.
And it really does not address like core problems in your business.
Right. The next thing here, and this is something that is impacting a lot of other businesses, and I think entertainment and people and companies that are doing like streaming, like Netflix or like a Disney Plus, is just like this post-pandemic recalibration that is happening.
Tough.
It's happening to everybody. Whether you're just living your life or running a business. But if you're running a business, like you saw this crazy spike in entertainment, at-home entertainment when the pandemic happened. And I think a lot of companies just thought like,
that's going to be like this forever.
Hey, this is just how it is now.
Right.
Awesome.
No.
So we're going to staff up. We're going to make all these investments because, hey, there's so much demand out there that we need to meet. We need to get ready. We need to start spending money because we're going to make money later. And as we've all seen, like that has not been the case. And once people can get out, there's a lot of other things that they want to do with their time and money. So that was kind of a bubble, the pandemic bubble for certain industries. And now it's like, what is the actual reality of this now that we're 4 years later?
When we were working at Nintendo, that was always this huge conversation we have all the time, especially with Mr. Iwata. Like he was such a huge proponent of like, we should be so lucky as a business, as a brand, to take a tiny percentage of someone's free time because that's such a valuable thing in everyone's lives. Like no one has enough time to do anything, right? Everyone's like trying to live their lives. And for entertainment companies specifically, like you are not a life necessity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like watching the latest Netflix show or playing the latest video game is not going to like
keep you alive
or like keep your family alive. There's so many other responsibilities you have. So he would always caution us like the little sliver that we can capture for the entertainment part of their lives can go away so fast. And if you don't have a brand that can really sustain that in the long term, like it's over.
Right.
And I think that's the opposite thing that happened during the pandemic because obviously when you have nothing else to do because you're trapped inside, the options are kind of limited, and it was kind of foolish to think that that was going to be the case forever. Like it's strange to me that all of these business leaders that are super smart and have these huge companies are like, this is the new way of doing things, which like there's no proof point otherwise to that reality.
Yeah.
And obviously that didn't happen. So here we are kind of paying the price for, company being part of that like pandemic wave of employment and then getting that like taken away from you in this like horrifying way of getting laid off, right?
I mean, this is again from our perspective at Nintendo, like there was no pandemic hiring rush at Nintendo. I've never seen a hiring rush at Nintendo, period. It was always like, be careful about hiring literally anybody, do literally anything.
But even at Nintendo, the pandemic impacted the company significantly.
We were certainly busier than we ever were.
Yeah, and they certainly closed offices after the pandemic.
Right.
So we were impacted after the pandemic.
But there was no like, oh, well now we're just going to grow our team by 50% because we're going to be doing all these things forever. Animal Crossing, oh my God, our life is forever changed.
Game Animal Crossing is now the only
None
thing
of that
we're
happened.
doing.
It was like, this is good, and we'll do what we can to meet this. But it was never like,
change the business.
Our company has fundamentally changed.
Right.
There was none of that.
Exactly.
So again, as things come back to normal, and if you've hired up all these people to do this work for this demand that doesn't exist, you gotta let them go.
Yeah, and the streaming stuff, it's like, who can race to the bottom faster?
I mean, that's even like they're in a much worse position than games, honestly.
Horrible place. Like, thank God games
like
not
those
there
companies.
yet.
Those companies are losing tons of money. Like gaming, at least, like these companies are
there
making
are
money.
Some money that
the industry is being sustained.
Yeah, at least that. Yeah, that's absolutely a race to the bottom.
That's really bad.
It's horrible.
Another thing is this trend of acquisitions is happening.
Yeah.
Record acquisitions, whether it's Microsoft or the Embracer Group or whatever it is. Acquisitions always lead to consolidation. So, I'll just give you a hypothetical example. Is if I'm Microsoft and I buy game developer X, if game developer X has a PR team, it's like, guess what? I'm Microsoft. I've got a great PR team. I don't know if I need you anymore because my PR team can do your job. I think Microsoft has been very gracious in keeping those teams very intact.
Yeah.
When they acquire them,
but let's see how long that lasts for.
We'll see. But in keeping, trying to keep those cultures intact, because that's what made those studios unique. But I don't think a lot of companies, I don't think the Embracer Group has that mindset. It's like we're going to keep the parts we need, and the parts we don't,
chop it off.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Right. So
that's why it's really scary for employees of companies that get acquired.
Yeah.
Because you don't know if your job is going to be made redundant.
Right.
And you're going to be gone. That
Absolutely.
happens to thousands of people.
Yeah, and again, that's not a unique to games kind of thing at all.
Right.
There's kind of a feeling out period of, how's this going to work out? What do we need? What do we not need? And we just kind of move on.
Yeah.
Any other kind of big reasons?
Yeah, I feel like the other thing is like we are again in this state of like we need to have all of these people to make this like crazy high budget game, but that's also not sustainable. So I do think that this kind of mindset that we're in right now in the gaming industry, where like the only games that is really recognized or put up as like a triple A game, that mentality that it needs to be like this huge budget, these hundreds of hours, it's going to lead to, I think, more of this kind of churn, because eventually that's not going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with those huge studios? They're going to have to downsize it.
Right.
So I think we're in a dangerous position here where we have gotten to this, and that kind of like goes back to what we're saying, like 2023, yes, we had like so many incredible, amazing games this year, but how long is that going to be sustainable for, Like, when is it where one of those games fail and a studio is like, well, now I'm bankrupt because I put all the eggs in that basket.
Yeah. And, we're lucky that it's not a situation that we need to find ourselves in. But, you hear from these people who got laid off, and a lot of them are very experienced and very good. And they're saying, it's a very dicey situation because they are all competing. All these people are now competing for a very limited number of jobs that exist.
Right.
So there's probably just some percentage of those people that leave the industry
altogether
entirely because they can't find a stable job that has been their career to this point.
Right. Which
is a really hard place to be and is a big loss for the industry.
Yeah, I just imagine all the amazing talent that just kind of bleeds out of the industry because they're just unable to like find that very specific thing, right? It's when you're competing, you're like one of like hundreds of people.
Yeah.
And also new talent. Like, if you want to get into games and you're one of the newer talents, like, that's a scary thought. If you're, like, in college right now and you're like, I want to be in the games industry and you're seeing this go down.
Yeah, I mean, you could be competing with somebody who has, like, 10 years of experience who just needs a job.
Right.
They're willing to, take a cut and take a role that is, lower than their experience just to have security. So, yeah, it's not a healthy place for the industry to be.
Right.
So what can be done if let's say you were in charge of like a mid-level game developer? What are some things that you would do to safeguard your company and your teams against all of these economic forces?
Oh boy. See, this is where I think Nintendo did do a really good job with this, where they just really focused on what they were good at. Do not get distracted.
Do not chase trends.
Exactly. Don't get distracted by the shiny objects or like a quick you know, like those things where it's like we can make money real quick, like a get rich quick scheme or something like that. Like your mom warned you against get rich quick schemes when you were like 5 years old. Like that's probably not gonna. It's probably not gonna happen.
Yeah,
You know, like the lottery ticket idea. Like you're not gonna get rich. I would say like if I was running a studio, I'd be very tuned in to like what our unique capabilities are. What is the unique niche that you're...
Or what are we actually good at?
What are we actually good at? And what niche is that filling in that particular, you know, in the gaming industry? Like, are we really good at, like, farming sims is a bad example because there's a lot of farming sims. But, like, what is the unique niche that you could provide value in? And just, like, really concentrate on that, you know, instead of chasing the trends or shifting your whole business model to, like, some new shiny object that probably won't pan out in a couple of years.
Yeah, I think, you know, there's a lot, there are a couple of good examples of games that have bucked the trend of following the fad sort of thing and, you know, understanding that players want a wider variety of games than is currently on the market. I think Baldur's Gate is a perfect example of that, where people just said, oh, those kind of old PC RPGs, those are dead. Nobody wants those. But it turns out people actually did, and there was a big built-up audience. And if you do a really good one of those, hey, you're gonna sell a lot of copies.
Exactly. The other example is like games that just take their time with their games. Like we were talking about a couple episodes ago, Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
They had a really rough start,
right?
They had a really rough start and it was not great, but they were able to turn it around because they like gave themselves the like roadmap and focus to like fix the things that they needed to fix, be really strategic with the partnerships that they needed to get the awareness out there, like their Netflix partnership that they did. And then they were able to like turn around what people thought about their brand because they gave themselves like a really long runway to focus on that one thing that they, you know, they knew that they were good at, they knew that was unique in the market, and they knew that, you know, if they could just get it right, like it's going to be okay. They didn't let anything else distract them. They did it for like 2.5 years. It's kind of amazing, honestly. So that's another way of looking at it, like that idea of like being really focused on something, like even if it feels a little rough in the beginning, like you can do it.
At the same time, they were one of the companies that did layoffs too. So it's just hard. It's just hard to avoid at a certain point, especially with a game that's that big.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, a big point that I think is worth discussing is, again, if you were a developer, do you still need a publisher? Like, I think that is just, you know, the way certain, you know, people look at it is like, all right, well, you're the developer, you're making the game, you need a publisher to help you bring that thing and put it on shelves and get you that last step of the way so that people can actually buy it. But I think more and more, it's worth looking into whether you really do or whether you can do a lot of it yourself. So in the trial, the FTC trial for Microsoft with the Activision stuff, there was a Phil Spencer email that came out where he was kind of talking about, this was one of those very long, very well thought out emails that he sent. He was like, you know, a lot of these companies are struggling because the role of the publisher is very shaky right now.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the things that you traditionally needed them to do either aren't as important or developers are finding they can do themselves.
Right. Self-publishing is so big now.
If that, I mean, if it's like what percentage of the money you make are you giving to a publisher? Like, you better make sure that they're earning that money.
Right.
And I think there's some good examples. And I think, you know, Remedy with Alan Wake 2, like they don't have a publisher.
Right.
There's no physical version of that game either. Because it's like,
but
well,
they didn't need it.
Well, that's something a publisher would traditionally do. It's like, hey, let us help you make the discs, help you get it into the stores.
Right.
You know, have the meeting with the guy from
now
Walmart.
With sort of the digital,
like, who cares?
Cloud-based gaming, so it's such a
we don't need it. We can.
Normal thing, right?
We can hire a handful of people. We can hire somebody who manages all the digital storefronts, and that's a super important thing.
Yeah.
And kind of be our like release manager. And whatever else, like we can do it ourselves. So I think that
frees up so much resources.
A new model. I mean, I think there's certainly games. If it's like we're making Grand Theft Auto 6, it's like you probably need a publisher to help you put that thing out. But for a lot of companies, and again, if we're talking about this like
mid-tier
like sub major developer, you can really do a lot by yourself.
Yeah, you'd probably be surprised at how much you can do yourself if you just kind of put a bit of work into the research of it.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
This next one is something I will not stop banging the drums about. People need to get smarter about release dates. My God, these release dates.
Can we just have a shared industry Google Drive where we have like a big launch calendar for everybody? I'm a proponent of that. I will manage this calendar, guys.
Like the industry has gotten smarter about a lot of things. I think release dates is something the industry is very dumb about still. And, it's like a lot of like, it's like a game of chicken. It's like, well, who's going to move first? Like, so a great example of this is the new Sonic game, Sonic Superstars, which came out like a couple days
before Mario
Wonder.
Yeah. And
you know, some of the sales numbers have come out of like, oh, this Sonic game didn't do that great. I wonder why.
Wonder why. Also, Spider-Man came out on that day, and that's like a completely different genre, obviously. But to think about like, why are we stacking these?
It's like explain to me, Mr. Sega.
Mr. Joe Sega.
How is it okay for you to put this game out basically at the same time as these two super juggernaut games? How is that not going to impact your release of this game? Can you justify this to me?
Who said like okay
I dare you
to that? You know?
And it's like,
no one asked the question like, hey,
we're too far along now. We can't change it. Yes, you can. Also, back to my other example. Remedy changed their release date of Alan Wake.
They did. By like a week or something.
By a week. Because they did not have a physical version, so it was much easier for them to do. They now have a lot more flexibility. If I was them, I would have suggested moving it even more, but it seems to be working out.
They wanted a Halloween, though.
I think it's working out fine for them. That game seems to be
they were trying
doing
to thread
great.
the needle, but they did a good job changing that
But they
date.
averted disaster.
Because it could have been totally overshadowed by Spider-Man.
Right.
Completely.
Right.
And they had their own moment in the sun where when those reviews came out and that game came out, and it was like, oh yeah, perfect. We finished Spider-Man. We can move on to Alan Wake. Right. It's exactly what I did, actually.
Right.
So.
Like, I think companies should be way more proactive in managing release dates. And even if that means like, hey, we delayed it by 2 weeks to get out of the way, it's like, that's fine.
Who cares? 2 weeks, and think about how many sales
Think
you've
of yourself.
lost.
Think of your livelihoods here.
I know.
That can literally make or break a game.
It's so true.
With it just being like, I don't know if the future is going to be more 2023s where it's just nonstop, huge game after huge game. I'm guessing not.
I think this was a very unique year.
I think there was a lot of pent-up stuff
backed up from
the last couple of years that just ended up coming out this year.
I think we might be better off next year.
But even still, like there's it's like everybody like rushes this in this October time frame where it's like gotta get out before Black Friday.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't ever put anything out in Q1. It's like there's a lot of examples that disprove these like rules that the industry has had.
Mm-hmm. Some of these are very antiquated rules as well. Like it's just we always done it this way.
You gotta do it this way.
We always done it this way.
Right.
Like I think this is a time where while we're in this sort of transitional period as an industry as a whole, to make some of these changes and take some different approaches.
Yeah, there was some discussion in our Discord this weekend of like, did the new WarioWare game kind of bomb because it doesn't seem like a lot of people are talking about it? You have a look on your face like you have no clue this game even came out.
This game came out.
It's out. The game is out. The new WarioWare game is out.
I did not know that.
But it's like, it's like at this point of the year, there's just too much.
Can't deal.
I'm letting go of the rope of new releases.
Yeah, this is why.
It's like I'm just getting through the year.
Unless it's something that is something that I've already planned on playing.
Right.
Sorry. I'm not even gonna look at it.
Yeah, so that was kind of a self-owned by Nintendo of like, we can squeeze in one more thing.
Did you need to?
Because this is people are gonna love playing this game with Grandma and Grandpa at Thanksgiving.
They wanna do a farty squat after Thanksgiving.
They big brain themselves with that one.
Yeah, okay. I did not know this game was out. There you go. And I'm tuned in. I'm like,
right. It's just been like this murderer's row of huge releases, and at some point it's like I just can't. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And I think many people are feeling this exact way.
Right. And then finally, this whole live service games thing is like, I do wonder what happens with those now if a huge player like a Destiny is like, this isn't working out. Like, do you have a more definitive end to these projects versus we're going to go forever?
Yeah, they might have to change the model again so that it makes more sense for how people are consuming these kinds of games, right?
Right.
Do you do, the Call of Duty approach?
What happened with MMOs? Like, we're down to like two like really significant MMOs. You got WoW still, and Final Fantasy,
right?
And that's kind of it. Like
Right, you don't
If
really
anybody's like,
hear
oh, you're
about
putting out
this.
an MMO, you get like laughed at.
Yeah, like why would you bother doing that?
Right.
Like,
It's like
you
there's
never
no
capture
room
the
for
audience.
that. You can't do that.
Yeah, and I think people are just the way that they're playing these like live service games, if they've changed significantly. Like that though that era of like everybody and your mother playing Fortnite is over or like coming to an end.
We got a news story about that.
I know.
We got a news story
I
about
know.
that in a little bit.
I know. I'm
yeah.
telling you, like it's people's consumption habits have changed. So they need to figure out the new model to like match up to that, you know?
So yes, there are these like big world things that are happening that are, sometimes out of your control, but I think these companies have a lot of things that are in their control that can help them operate more smartly and avoid these self-owns. So I would love to see more of that in the future.
Yeah, and I feel really bad for everyone that's had to deal with layoffs. It's such a stressful thing to happen to you. Even though we didn't get laid off at Nintendo, it was like a very scary time of transition when you are imagining like what you would do without your job. And a lot of the times...
You really freaked out.
Really freaked out. It's scary. And like a lot of the times, I think, especially for those of us in the gaming industry, gaming is such a huge passion of ours. It really becomes your identity. And when you lose that part of your identity because of a big layoff like this, you can feel very out of sorts. And I do feel really bad for everyone that's having to deal with that right now. And I hope you guys are doing okay. Hopefully it gets better. But it's very tough. So
we did an interesting poll with our Patreon subscribers because obviously we're talking about it from the perspective of people who are in the industry and have been in the industry for a long time. But we wanted to get their perspective on how they are viewing all of these layoffs. So we asked people to identify like which of these they most associate with. So one is, I currently work in the video game industry, or I want to work in games and I'm trying to break into the industry, or I want to work in games but these stories are making me think twice, or finally, I'm okay working outside of games. And kind of like lowest to most, that's kind of the order it went. So 5% of people said I currently work in the video game industry, great. 11% of the people said they want to work in games or trying to break in. 15% said they want to work in games, but they're getting kind of scared by all these stories. And then 69% of the people said,
percentage.
I'm good. I'll stay working outside of games.
I know.
So that is a fascinating thing. And some of these responses were very interesting as well. So Tuscoop says, I'm a junior gameplay programmer, fresh out of university, working at an indie dev studio. It's more like an apprenticeship. It feels extra impossible to try and get a full industry job. This is because now I'm also applying next to all the other people who have been displaced from these layoffs. There's nothing else to do but keep trying, yet it's quite unfortunate to be a junior applying to the same positions that many people with multiple shipped titles are now gunning for as well.
Yeah, we were just saying that. Yeah,
yes.
It's really tough.
Trey Jowie says, I'm A-okay keeping gaming separate from my career. When I was in college, I worked for Electronics Boutique, modern-day GameStop for those who were born a bit later, and even just that proximity of work to gaming life made me dislike video games to a degree. I can't even imagine how much that would be amplified if I had to work, quote, where the sausage is made, so to speak.
Yeah, sometimes it's good to keep it as a hobby,
Yeah, yeah. There were a lot of responses that were along those lines.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then finally, Blah says, I used to dream of being a game dev when I was younger, but these days I'm just happy being a software dev. Better pay, better work-life balance, and generally being valued a lot more. To be honest, game dev is pretty darn hard with the levels of complexity involved in a game design, so it sucks that either game devs are treated so much worse than software devs in most places. Either way, I much prefer dedicating my creativity energy outside of work to things I have full creative control over.
That's interesting. I think it's like when you are putting your energy into something that you have such a huge passion for, it can hurt more when it doesn't go your way, right?
Yeah, and I think that's this interesting realization of like, yes, you can quote follow your dream and work in games, but I think a lot of people who went the other way are saying like it's actually not bad because I'm doing something that doesn't have all these drawbacks, and I still have my creative energy to put into whatever I want.
Right. Yeah, the myth of the dream job is absolutely a myth.
What about this?
This is different.
No, I got you. You're on the hook now.
This is different.
This is different.
Or working for like your dream company is absolutely a myth, I think. I don't even consider this a job.
Oh. Well, that's nice.
It's my life.
That's nice.
It's my life.
So
yes.
a fascinating topic that, again, unfortunately, we'll probably be revisiting over time,
Yes.
but it's good to break it down and understand what's going on here.
Yes, yes.
Last week in our story time, you shared a Wii Fit story, and we actually have kind of a counterpoint with another Wii Fit story. I think these mostly happen to you.
Some of them
Just to complete the Wii Fit cycle.
Yeah, the
Let's share some
last
of
week
these.
was a very wholesome and cute story about puppies in Wii Fit, and I looked back on some very nice Nintendo Minute footage of Baron and Chowder together as much younger.
That was
puppies.
very cute. I like
And
that.
I really, it was so sweet. I just loved it. This week, though, not so adorable. We do have some very awkward Wii Fit stories to share. And it is just like a fascinating thing because when you think to yourself, oh, I'm going to work at Nintendo. I'm going to work in video games. I'm going to do some video game stuff. You never think that game is going to become this like life thing that's going to be very personal.
Yeah.
A Wii Fit is really personal. You're doing a lot of like measurements of your body.
A lot of bending over.
You're doing a lot of bending over. The hula hooping in public
Hip thrusts.
could be concerning to some. You're doing like you're sweating. You're doing like physical.
You're getting out of like work attire into your exercise clothes.
Yes, like you're not. Yeah, you're put into this very awkward position.
Vulnerable.
Very vulnerable.
Yes.
To be. To show this part of yourself in a work environment with coworkers, and also with people that are, media or people that are like judging you or judging the product, right?
Absolutely.
So of course, this makes for some very awkward moments, very very awkward moments. So I have a few. I know you have a few too. I'll share the most awkward one first because this one was a real doozy. So. We're working on this product. Our boss at the time, both of our bosses, he was like the director of PR at Nintendo. He had, like, we all used to have like TVs and gaming systems, like Nintendo systems in our office or in the common areas, so you could like play the games and make sure you know how to talk about them. But he had in his office like his Wii set up and like he was getting the Wii Fit balance board all set up, and he asked me to come into his office to help him set up the Wii Fit balance board. So if you guys remember when you first set up your Wii Fit balance board, it basically makes you like, it like scans your body. It makes you do all sorts of stuff. Like you have to put in, it weighs you. You have to put in like all of your health things. Yeah. So I'm sitting in his office, and honestly, I don't really know him that well. Like, he was our boss, so it's like a very, I'm the subordinate, he was the authority figure kind of relationship. Like, I also was his assistant for a little while when I first started at Nintendo, so I would do things like make him coffee and, like, do his expense report and stuff like that. So it was a very, like, there's no way I'm in charge of anything situation. Like, I'm just, like, your assistant, So it's like a very weird relationship dynamic. And to see him in this very like vulnerable state was very strange for me. So like he gets onto the, I'm helping him set it up. I'm like I have the Wii remote. I'm like going through the prompts with him. He's like on the balance board, like doing whatever. So he's, going through the things. And the other thing about Wii Fit that would totally not fly these days at all is it used to do that thing where if you're like over a certain BMI,
right.
The Wii Fit balance, there was like an animation of the little like, how the balance board in the menu was like a little person, like a little, it was like, it had like a little personality, little eyes and stuff. If you were over a certain BMI, it would do this little like dance where like the sweat would be coming off of the little like balance board person, and it's like, oh no,
ow,
ouch, you are very heavy. Like it would say like super like body shamey mean things to you. about your BMI and your weight. And that happened while we were setting up the Wii Fit balance. It was so awkward because you can't like make the thing go faster. I'm like pressing the A button as fast as possible to like go to the next screen because I mean I don't want to be there, and he's feeling really embarrassed to be, you know, sitting in this room with this like other woman that's basically just like looking at his body. I wasn't looking at his body, but like looking at like the weight and like the BM, like all of his personal data, like personal information, and this is like a pin drop silence in the room. Like I wanted to crawl under a rock and die.
Just leave. Like, oh, you're all set up. Bye.
No, it wasn't the end of it.
Oh.
You have to do more things.
We can take it from here.
Like, please take it from here. But like there was like more to it, and like he turned to me and he was just like, "Oh no!" Like he said something to the effect of like, "Oh, now I feel bad," or like, "Oh, now I feel like fat," or like whatever. Like he said something to me to that effect, and I felt so bad. I was like, "Oh my god, this is a horrible product. If it makes you feel bad, like come on."
Nowadays, they would probably have it like synced to your phone, so you could just punch it in, and now nobody would see it.
Oh, they
it would just go
cannot
straight
do that.
to the game.
They would be canceled.
Especially now, I think. Don't people say like BMI? Like, yeah, that's actually
not
a bunch of
metric.
nonsense.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. I'm not.
Like people can have a BMI that's considered obese.
Yeah, whatever.
But it's like
go to the
it's totally
doctor,
fine.
and
Yeah.
maybe the doctor will tell you if you're healthy or not.
Speak with your medical professional.
Yeah, I don't know.
Do not speak to a Wii Fit balance board.
Don't speak to the Wii Fit balance board. I don't know anything.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't make you feel bad about yourself. You know, whatever. Like that just wasn't a good situation. But I felt really bad. I truly did. I felt for this man. You know, I was like, it's not a great situation to be in. I felt bad. I wish that he didn't feel bad, you know, for that. So anyways, we do set it up. We finished setting it up, and you know, he's fine afterwards, and we moved on with our lives. But I'll always remember this part in our relationship was like super awkward, and I kind of it did humanize him a little bit because he was a little hard to like. It's hard to get to know him a little bit. Like he's very kind of, you know, just very all Mr. Business.
All business,
All
yes.
business. So that part of it was kind of interesting, but I was like, oh dang, it's not a good place to be. Yeah. Very
Wow.
awkward. Yes.
The other one is around. So as a requirement, this is kind of like an extension of the Wii wrist strap.
Yeah.
Always had to have people take shoes off.
Yes.
Do not think of standing on the Wii Fit balance board with shoes on if you
Right.
are, you know, if we were demonstrating it in an official capacity, but also that extended to like if you were inviting somebody like from the media, if you're doing a demo, like please take your shoes. It's like the same thing. It's like please put on the wrist strap.
Yeah.
And like some people didn't like this.
Taking your shoes off is another like kind of intimate thing.
Right.
Because if you had socks on, I think it was a little bit better. Something about like exposing your bare foot.
I experienced a foot odor situation with, I will not name who this person is. They are still kicking around in games media.
Oh, poor thing. It's not
But
your
it
fault.
was
Maybe it's
because
your
it was
shoe.
please take your shoes. It was a please take your shoes off.
Yeah, some people
situation.
have that.
Right.
That's okay. You know, everyone's body is different.
Yes.
So it's like you shouldn't like shame somebody for it, but it's like it forced you into a situation where you might feel that shame.
Yeah.
Because you have to take your shoes off.
What was the stance on, you know, if like somebody's doing like construction in your house and give those little booties?
Yeah.
What was the stance on that?
Oh, because sometimes people would wear like heels. Like, this actually happened to me when I was demoing this to a celebrity. It was like one of the celebrity events that we did, and this was Brittany Murphy, who was wearing.
And
these,
she was in heels.
She was wearing these really beautiful Brittany Murphy, you know, beautiful like knee length black.
It's like hard to get.
Stiletto
So hard to get
boots.
off. Yeah.
Hard to get off.
Yeah.
She's wearing a skirt too, so you don't want her to be like, what,
Right.
do you want to flash everybody bending down, taking your boots off? That's weird. And who knows, right? I mean,
Right.
celebrity, you let them just kind of
Yes.
do whatever.
Let them lead this interaction.
So she did wear her heeled stiletto
Right.
boots onto the balance board, and I think
Some treehouse person just
was having a heart attack. Like, oh my god! Like this. I mean, it was
can't
like
happen.
it was bad. Like we basically got like yelled at, I think,
Right.
for that.
What are you going to do,
that.
though?
I couldn't do anything.
These are things you should tell the people in advance.
Yeah, but what do you do? Even if you tell them in advance, what are you supposed to do?
Yes, there will be examples like that. But again, for like the guy who I was doing, it's like, by the way, to demonstrate this product, if you would like to do it, you'll need to take your shoes off. Tell them that in advance to avoid these situations.
Yeah. So we got in really big trouble for that because not only was she wearing the shoes onto the balance board, but she was wearing like heels, which I guess can damage like all the sensors in there because you're wearing like stiletto.
Yeah, you're just like jamming into this thing.
Into the thing. So I get that. I mean, I think the balance board was fine. The balance board was very hardy, but it was not great. It was not a good day for us because they were like, you guys messed up. Like, you guys messed up this appointment. And now we can't use any of these photos because she has her shoes on. We're like, okay.
What do you want us to do?
I'm sorry.
Jeez.
And my last story is around like having to demo this product for people.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to choose like a certain, there's only like 3 things in there that is like okay for you to do.
Bend over this way or bend over that way?
And not be embarrassed. Exactly. Okay, the first one is the soccer heading.
Oh,
that one is safe.
Yeah, that's
good. You're just moving your head.
Yeah.
You know, it's fine.
Uh-huh.
That one's all right. Some of the yoga poses where you just do like a tree pose, you know?
You could tip over, though.
If
you have bad balance,
I
you
have very good balance. I have very good balance. I always choose that one.
Okay.
So I was like, I can do this, and
Yeah.
I just stand there. I stand there for like a couple seconds.
Okay.
It's fine. You know, like there was only like a few of those, but there inevitably somebody would be like, "Hey, what's that one?
Can you bend over?
Can you try that one?" And it's always
How about you bend over,
It's always
buddy?
something crazy. Like you got to bend over, or you got to like get on the floor and do like
the ones where you're sitting down,
the sit-uppy ones, and I'm like
the ski luge or whatever.
Yes,
oh, that one. Yeah,
There's the ski. There was the one where you basically are on a plank. Do you remember that one?
I had to do the ski luge at some E3 when I'm like in like business attire.
That's
like,
so true. Yeah, you're and like I didn't wear a skirt for like 2 years because like God knows when someone's gonna make me ski luge and I'm gonna be like on a dress or something and that's gonna be the end of me. So I had to like. I basically was wearing like pants for like the 2 years of that launch.
Oh man!
Because you never know when someone's gonna ask you to ski luge.
It's true.
And it was just like. It's so embarrassing. It's like it shouldn't be embarrassing, but it is. And like you never imagine in your life that like that was something that you would have to do at your job. You know, you would have to get on this thing, and people are gonna see your they would make us go through the setup process. There are tons of people saw how much I weigh. I'm like, great, this is awful. This is awful. Like, you know, are you obese? According to this Wii Fit board, that's really mean to you? Like, is it going to dance around with the sweat? Never know. Did I eat like a big meal that day? I don't know. So you never know like when you're just going to be like horribly embarrassed in public.
Yeah.
By this thing.
This all did extend also, not quite as badly.
Ring Fit.
To Ring Fit Adventure. Like, I remember there was the one day when Treehouse came down like, oh, we're going to show you this new game.
I was so mad
and
that day.
The Treehouse person was in like the full like a Richard Simmons getup, you know, like the headband and everything, because they were gonna like be breaking sweat. Like, all right, we're gonna show you how to play this game. It's like, okay, cool. I'm watching you play this game. I understand.
Now you do.
But then the forced audience participation began. It's like, you get up, do this. And people were. I mean, some people were in like, you know, slacks and like dress shirts and
yeah, well, they were like dressed for work.
Like work attire.
Yeah.
And like some people did not do super well. Like they were getting sweaty, or they were like shirts coming untucked and just like just struggling through this.
I don't need to see my coworkers.
Give some notice. Give some notice.
I also don't want to see some of these people that you work with. You just want to see them in one way, and
keep them in the professional
like,
bubble.
I just want to see you as like the guy that does the retail thing,
right?
And like you're wearing the suit every day. Like I don't need to understand what you're like when you like run a mile. Like I really don't.
And I heard like
know.
you know, also when like all the sort of Nintendo of America executives went to Japan to see this game for the first time, they were told, they were like, bring your exercise gear.
Bring your exercise clothes.
You're gonna play this game and you're gonna sweat.
Doug said that he was like he brought his like full workout clothes. He was like, oh, good thing I brought my gym.
But now I'm just in the office in the headquarters like sweating like crazy.
Can you go like freshen up somewhere?
in my sweat covered t-shirt? Like what?
Well, you gotta change,
what do I do now?
Change.
This is just a troll job.
You gotta like Febreze yourself or something and then change.
Yes. Oh, Doug-san, you're meeting with Mr. Furukawa now.
He's like,
please head to the office.
Putting like Axe body spray on as fast as possible because he's like stinky from all the sweating and the weed.
Doug-san, you look nervous. Why are you sweating so much?
Jusant, your pit stains. We can see them.
This is becoming like a Seinfeld sketch now.
Jusant.
I was just playing Ring
That
Fit
Treehouse
Adventure.
person that did the Ring Fit demos, and the demos is not just you and that person. It's you in a room full of like 20 people.
Yeah.
I got called out and to do sit-ups. I was like, why are you I'm not doing this.
I got called out, but I had to do something really easy, so it was fine.
I had to do sit-ups, and then I was like, I'm not doing this. I refused. And then I got yelled at afterwards.
Sit-ups?
I got yelled at afterwards for not being a team
You're not
player.
a team player.
I was so mad. I was like, are you kidding me?
Krysta, you did
now?
not consistently bend over when you're asked to bend over. How dare you?
Bent over enough for that company. That's right. So awkward.
Well, now this has become Ring Fit Adventure complaints.
So we have more of these crazy stories.
Next time you make an exercising game, Nintendo, think twice. Think carefully about what you're going to do.
Or just don't make people do it.
All right. It's almost time to talk about the games we've been playing. We've got some new stuff. But first, let's shout out our other sponsor for this episode. Episode is sponsored by HelloFresh. Thank you. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. We were talking about this earlier today. Thanksgiving is 2 weeks away.
I know.
Can you believe that?
It is. We are in the midst
2 weeks.
of the holiday hecticness.
So the idea is, I'm going to put a lot of time and effort into cooking on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that in the lead up.
No, you do not.
HelloFresh, help me out.
Yeah, they have those 15-minute quick meals. That is your savior for the next couple of weeks.
2 weeks.
And also those weeks leading up to Christmas, because you basically have
same thing,
to do the same thing
Right,
again.
right.
So now you have an option. You don't have to go to a grocery store. You get all these pre-portioned fresh ingredients. You can choose the quick meal option, 15 minutes, and you're ready to go. And to top it all off, the food is really good.
Yes.
It tastes really good. So you're gonna be all set.
They do also have kind of items meant for a bigger group. So if you want to supplement something that you are making for Thanksgiving, for example, you can get a charcuterie board.
I love a good charcuterie board.
Or a big dessert, again, for your group. It's like, well, maybe I'm going to spend all my time on this turkey. I don't want to deal with all this other stuff.
Yeah.
HelloFresh can help with that.
Somebody take care of that for you.
Yes.
Right, the other thing.
They also have all these great breakfasts, lunches, snacks that you can get in addition to the big dinner meal kits.
Right.
So a lot of exciting things are happening with HelloFresh, a lot of variety of the things you can do. The menus are constantly changing so you don't get into your dreaded food rut.
Avoid the food rut.
Over 45 weekly recipes.
Yes.
Yes, that is wonderful. So go to HelloFresh.com/KitKrystaFree and use code KitKrystaFree for free breakfast for life.
This is crazy.
What?
Wow.
One breakfast item per box while subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life at HelloFresh.com/KitKrystaFree with code KitKrystaFree. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Wow.
Wow. Free breakfast for life?
I can't believe it.
It's amazing. I'll put the link
HelloFresh.
right over here and in the description below. Get your breakfast, eat well. It's going to be good.
Yeah. All right, games we're playing. We got some new stuff. We have Spider-Man 2. We're going to put that at the end so we can start with something new.
Yes.
Let's start with this game that you played and finished. How do you say this name?
I believe it's a French name.
Yes.
I believe it's Jusant.
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 Okay.
Yes. The very beginning of the game, they give you the definition
And
of the word.
and do they say it?
They don't say it. It's
Oh.
written. There's no
Phonetic?
dialogue
Phonetic?
in the game. It's like no talking.
This is a game that we both really liked at the Xbox showcase around what would have been E3.
Right.
And it just came out. It's on Game Pass. And you finished it. Tell us all about this game.
It's a super interesting game, but it's pretty short. So it was the perfect palate cleanser game. I beat Spider-Man.
Yeah.
I needed a palate cleanser game before I started Alan Wake. That was it, and Jusant is that game. So this game is really, and we saw when we saw it in the Xbox showcase, we're both really excited about it because it was a game just focused on climbing.
Climbing is the hot new genre, people.
And I was really interested to see how somebody can make a whole game around just climbing.
Yeah.
'Cause usually it's like a traversal mechanic within a larger
Right.
game. So it was really cool to see it as like the focus. Really interesting story as well. Like they define the word Jusant for you when you start the game. Basically, it's the French word that is the tide that's ebbing. So it means like the ebb of an ocean tide.
Okay.
And I think that sets up sort of the environment that you're in and why you need to do the climbing and what is happening. I won't spoil it because you play the game. The story is really good, and you play as this little boy, and you basically you're climbing. You are discovering like what's happened in this world. It's a deserted world now. You're like getting these snippets of what might have happened through these letters and these like diaries that people have left behind, or and you also have a little companion that looks like a little Jello frog. A little
What?
gooey Jello
Jello frog.
It's like a little slime frog. It's cute.
Okay.
And your little friend, and this little friend has this like ability to like kind of like sing and like it's called an echo.
Yeah.
So when you use that ability, it like makes things appear for you to climb.
Oh.
So you're climbing the environment, but you're also like climbing sort of, when he does it, like vines bloom and you sort of climb up these.
So you make your own path?
It's like sort of like dormant little things, and when you do the little echo, it like grows this like vine or a flower blooms or something like that. Really beautiful like sound design in this game. Like it has sort of like a Zelda feel where it's very atmospheric, very ambient. And then like at critical moments, you get this like really big, like beautiful sort of soundtrack.
Yeah.
Yes?
Please continue.
You look like you got something
I just want to
say.
know more. I want to know more.
The climbing mechanic is really interesting. So you're sort of very active in using the controls to mimic the climbing.
Yes, I wanted to know about this.
So like you're basically like, as you're climbing like one hand at a time, you're doing like the R and the L. The
trigger.
R and the triggers.
Yes, okay.
So that it really does feel like you're like right hand, left hand, let go of the right hand. So you can't like reach with your left hand, for example, if you're not holding on with your right hand. So you have to keep that trigger depressed, and then like then you have like this option to like reach and grab it, and then like so it's like you really have to like think carefully about like your fingers and like controlling this thing. You also have like a rope so you can belay as well. Like you can like do some cool like swings and grabs. There's some like puzzle elements to it, like how you do it to like make your way up these really like big climbs. And you have a stamina wheel, just like in like Breath of the Wild or something like that. But you can rest and it will recharge.
Okay.
And when the animation when it's resting is like so. If you have climbed ever, you totally know this feeling where you're like, I'm so tired, like my hands hurt so bad.
Like
I just need to
shake it out.
So he will like sit back on his like rope thing and he would just like shake out his hands, and that's like the rest anime. It's like very true to if you've ever rock climbed ever, like you kind of know that feeling, And there is like a sort of jump and grab, but what I like about it is that the climbing mechanic feels like work. It feels like hard work, because it is. And it doesn't feel like you're just like scaling this wall like super.
You're not just holding up and climbing.
You're not like Spider-Man that's just like, I'm just vertically
Or it's not like Link in those games where he's like, I'm just going to scale this huge wall.
Yeah, you really have to like look for the handholds and like do all that thing. Yeah, beautiful. A beautiful art style, really beautiful just kind of environment. I don't want to spoil it because you do have like a very good hint of what happens right in the beginning, like where you are. And so that's really interesting that the game world is set where you are. And that's what you're climbing. Like it's different than what you expect. So yeah, I really, really like it.
So would you say more than 75% of this game is climbing?
Yes.
Oh, good. Because I was a little bit worried, like, it might be a switcheroo.
No.
Okay,
you are climbing.
Good. It kind of reminds me. I forget the name of that other game that I tried the demo for this summer. It's not out yet on Steam. That was kind of a more cartoony version.
Okay.
That I really liked that, but it sounds like there's similar mechanics.
There's some swinging, like rope things.
Yeah.
Like swinging on a rope and
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like
Okay.
80% climbing.
Cool.
Yeah.
I might check this out next. Actually.
Very good.
I was very
6 hours.
interested in
It'll
this.
be very quick for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you are now playing Fashion Dreamer.
I am.
Are you a fashion dreamer?
I am. I'm absolutely a fashion dreamer. So yeah, this is the game that I had my eye on for a bit because you guys know that I'm a huge style savvy fan. Actually, when I was playing this game, I was like, oh man, I have so many style savvy stories that we can tell on the podcast. I need to remember
Maybe next week.
Remember to tell these because those are really fun. And since Sophia was a developer on Style Savvy, so I was very hopeful that this was going to have some cool Style Savvy elements, even though this is not.
Why is this not a Style Savvy game?
Well, because it isn't Style Savvy.
But why?
I don't know why.
If it's the same team.
Yeah, exactly. Same team. I don't know why it's not Style Savvy, but this game is definitely fun. I'm enjoying it. I'm
worried now.
I'm playing.
It's definitely fun.
I'm playing a lot of this game.
Yeah.
Like I find myself, really engaged with the game loop of like collecting new clothing pieces, styling people. Same kind of similar to the game loop for Style Savvy, obviously. The thing about this game, and I don't know if other people that have played Style Savvy is feeling, and I'd love to know if you're playing this game and you're a huge Style Savvy fan, if you feel this too, is there's a bit of like, it's hard to describe it, but it's like, it feels kind of cold to me. Like Style Savvy, if you guys remember, it's like you are like the owner of a boutique, like you are like starting your shop and you're trying to get customers in to buy items, you're going to fashion shows to like stock your store with new fashion designs. Like it has sort of this entrepreneurial spirit of like a small business owner, I guess. This one, the premise, and it's so fitting for like 2023. It's like, this is what our world is now. The premise of this game is like, you're an influencer and your whole thing is like, how do you get more followers?
So this is your life.
I don't like it. This is not my life. My life is not this. I hope it's not, because I need to be more than how to get more followers. But yeah, like it feels, I don't know, it just feels like a little bit like sad that this is the metric of success.
Do you have like a follower tracker?
Yes.
It's like, I need this number to go up?
Right. Oh. That is like the goal of the game.
Yeah.
Like you have to like grow your subscribers. And like when you reach different levels, you unlock stuff like in the game. And everyone around you in the game, like they're called muses. They it almost feels like robots or something.
Who are these muses?
They're just
like your helpers, or
the in-game characters. They're all called muses, and your player character is also called a muse as well.
But who would you be interacting with?
Those muses.
Doing what?
They're just standing around.
Oh.
And then you just like talk to them, and you can like, if you hit the like button, you can like get their outfit in your inventory, or you can style them. But again, it feels very like, it's almost like, are we all like AI? Are we living inside of Instagram? And like, we're just AI and we're just trying to like get likes? Like, it's like weird. It's a little weird. It doesn't feel human to me. I don't know why. So that part of it is like weirding me out a little bit. But you can do very similar things. You can still set up like a showroom. And showcase like your style, and you can like decorate the mannequins in your store to look like your style, which you could do in Style Savvy. And they even have this thing like I'm online, so you can see like real player characters from around the world.
That's neat.
So many Japanese characters with like millions of followers already. I'm like, how'd you do this? It's crazy.
Who's the Selena Gomez of Fashion Dreamer?
Exactly. Like, I think your world is contained to like your little server.
Yeah.
But there's one person in my server that has like, it's like platinum, this thing. Like some Japanese person. I have no idea. Like you can stream their showrooms. Like you can go to this little place where like you can go and see other people's, other players' showrooms. So they call it like showroom streaming. So all of it has this like very online, like digital kind of theme, and I'm not sure if I like it.
I see.
But I do like the gameplay. Like I still really like all the clothes.
Are the clothes nice?
The clothes are super nice
Okay.
and they're so cute, and you can do a lot of customization too. You like make your own designs and stuff, and that's really fun.
It's all like fictional brands and stuff, right? Have they ever done like an actual brand in one of those games?
Yeah. I like bought something from like the actual brand because I was like such a fan of Style Savvy. I was like such a fan.
You'd think that would be a natural thing to do.
I was like such a fangirl.
Was that
like,
for the last Style Savvy game?
Yeah, I went to Japan and like went and bought like a bunch of clothes from like an actual brand that was in Style Savvy. It was like amazing.
Huh.
It was so cool that they did that. This is all.
And they were selling like the same clothes that were. That's a great idea.
I still have that sweater because I think it's really cute.
Yeah,
it's cool. But yeah, I do really like it. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm still gonna play this game. Like I still like this game, but I don't know. It just feels a little bit like cold to me. Like I wish it was a little bit like more like real. I guess. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Okay. You guys tell me.
And you have not started Alan Wake yet?
No, I've not started.
So when's that going to happen?
I'm going to do it this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you finish? You can't finish Fashion Dreamer?
I don't think I can finish it.
Does it have an end? Or do you just kind of keep going?
I just unlocked like a new area. So right now, like the starting area just...
The social media grind. Can you pivot and become a crypto influencer?
Can I?
Can you?
Maybe.
Get these NFTs.
Wearable
NFTs. Get these. These are hot.
Fungible the fashion.
So fungible.
So fungible. So fashion. Yeah, I'm going to start Alan Wake this week. I'm really excited. I'm a little bit scared. I hope I don't get too scared. But yes, I already downloaded it. It's ready to go.
Good.
But I'll probably still play Fashion Dreamer on the side.
Yeah.
Because it's very like, it's not like a
heavy,
play all day kind of game.
Yeah,
it's just like play for like 20 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Spider-Man. You have finished.
I beat Spider-Man's.
Yeah. And I am getting... I actually don't have a clue where I am in this game.
You are about 1/3 of the way from the end, I believe, at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, you're really getting there. The back half of the game, like the end of the game, like a lot happens.
I mean, things feel like they're picking up, but
they're really big moments.
I don't feel like I'm at the end yet.
Right. There's like huge moments, and then they just sort of they sort of build and build and build, and then you're like, before you know it, you're done. You know, it's like one of those things where you're like, oh, I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we will avoid spoilers here, but if you just want to skip this, you can look at the timestamp and jump straight to the news here.
Right.
So thoughts on the, I guess, second half of the game, maybe?
Yeah. I thought this game beginning to end was absolutely fantastic for me. I loved every moment of it. You know, we were talking about this while you were playing, and I had beaten the game already. You were telling me where you were and what was going on, and I think we both were just super impressed with like the character development in this game.
Yeah.
You know, every character, they treat them with such like, you know, they have such like rich backstories, and you really understand what's motivating these characters, whether they're heroes or quote villains or bad guys. Like you kind of like you feel for them.
Yeah.
Like there's no single character in this game where I was like, well, why is this person so mad? Or like, why is this person so happy? Like, you just know why. Like, you really understand what their, you know, motivations are. And I thought that was so well done. And, you know, some of these battles with these big sort of quote unquote bosses or whatever, like, it felt really different than like traditional video games where you're like, I gotta vanquish like the devil incarnate or something, where it's like just this evil and then you have to get rid of it. Like that's not the case at all. You have like all of these other things sort of pulling you towards your feelings about these characters, you know? And you just did a fight recently that I thought was you thought it was weird. I thought it was great because it was so unique in that way where it's like this can be considered a boss battle of sorts, but what a funny and interesting way to treat a boss battle, you know? So I really like that about it. But I thought that the story like held up beginning to end so well. The gameplay was so fun for this entire game. I never felt bored. I was always just like surprised by, oh, I get to play as this character now? Holy moly, this is awesome. You know, and I always felt like good when I was doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was surprised, and again, I've still got a bit of a ways to go. It's not a spoiler to say, like, yeah, Venom is kind of like the big...
we know Venom is in the game.
Right, the big like endpoint of like what you're doing in this game, but I was surprised at how much game you get through before you even see Venom. Obviously,
Yeah.
like the symbiote suit is there from pretty much the beginning, and you're learning about it, and you're doing different things are happening with it. But I expected like, oh yeah, like a couple hours into this game, it was like, oh no, Venom's on the loose. We gotta get him. But they really like do build up tension and anticipation with that, and it is impactful when you finally get to that point. And I had a lot of questions about how they were going to ultimately execute it, because like there's been different iterations of that in the comics. So I was like, well, which of these are they going to kind of pull inspiration from?
Yeah.
Because originally the original Venom was with a character who's not even in this game.
Right.
So they kind of did take a different path with that. And you're focusing on this other enemy, Kraven, earlier on, who he is one of the kind of like long-time top Spider-Man villains. I would never be like, oh, he's my favorite villain. But they did a really great job with him of making him a believable adversary and giving him a lot of motivation and being, a fearsome.
You learned a lot about Kraven.
A fearsome opponent. So I think they're making a Kraven movie.
Okay.
That sounds like the next comic book movie to absolutely bomb, but
that doesn't seem like a
maybe
good idea.
I'm
but sure.
0.1% more interested in that movie than I was before.
I liked the characterization of Kraven and his like merry band of hunters in the game.
Yeah.
Like that was cool. Like,
he brought in literally like 2 million hunters into New York City, and nobody seems to notice.
And like a tiger.
There's like, why are there 2 million guys wearing like a fur jacket like all of a sudden?
Why are they all like fatigued?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on? Why are they on the roof with like a sniper rifle?
Yeah, that was a bit
knife?
A bit much. I really do continue to be very impressed with the combat system
so good
of this. Like I think I was hinting at that before of like, this might be up there with like those recent God of War games. I think I just like this better. There's just so much depth to it, and I'm still like finding ways to approach battles and like all those different skill trees. We talked about those last week. Does it get overwhelming? Like you can craft pretty
specific
different
paths.
Characters. Like I just got a perk that gives you more damage when you're fighting in the air. So that's a move I like to do is you punch them up and then you hit them in the air, and you can juggle them like a long time.
And you can juggle like if you have that other Miles one where he like electrifies them in the air.
Yeah.
You can just go from one to the next, and it feels really good. It feels super satisfying.
Right. And yeah, it's very. Spider-Man's got spider senses, so he is dodging all sorts of attacks. Like it's very heavy on the dodging, and the timing and the parrying.
Yes,
where like it can feel like you just dodge, but that is the Spider-Man experience. Like these people can't hit him because he knows what's coming and he's getting out of the way of that. So that's great. I have not played this game so much this way, but I could see myself doing more of it. Once I finish the main story of just like kind of leisurely going around the city and doing stuff as it pops up. Like I think that was like a lot of the fun of GTA games. It was like I'm just cruising and something.
You can just turn on the little like neighborhood app.
Yeah, and like something will happen, and I'll do that. Like I don't really have anything in mind, but I could see it's like, I'm just swinging around. I'm looking around, like, oh, there's this thing, and I'm gonna go take care of that, or oh yeah, there's this side story I haven't done.
Like right when I got to where you were, like I started doing that more because I didn't want the game to end.
Yeah. And
there's a lot of like really funny, like interesting side quests and sort of little things, just little happenings in the city. That you just kind of stumble upon, discover. It is really well done. You do have that sense of like, oh, New York is, teeming with things that's going on and things to do. So
yeah, and I do think I'm trying to think of what else there'd be. Like if somebody said like I'm getting a PS5, like what game should I get? Like this would probably be the game that I would
recommend,
tell them to get.
Yeah, because
I think most people would like it, and it's incredibly well done. And there's probably like a couple games that I'm forgetting that would also be good recommendations, but like I think this is very firmly like in the like game of the year conversation. And again, in a way that I was not expecting it to be at all. And every day I look forward to playing it. And I've also started going back and reading some of the Miles Morales comics.
Oh, that's awesome.
Some of the original, like when he was first introduced as a character, which was a lot longer ago than I thought. It was like over 10 years ago. They first introduced him. And he's gone through that thing where he's like, oh, well, he was in this universe first, and then they brought him into this universe.
Oh,
and
boy.
I don't love that stuff. And actually, it was so you have it too. We have Marvel Unlimited,
yeah.
which just gives you access to like every Marvel comic ever. It's like super nice, but it was very hard to find. Like, start with this, read this, and then move on to this. It was kind of
need to give you more guides.
Kind of annoying to find like the definitive reading guide for this very important character now. But it is good to get, more backstory on the character and understand how he got set up in the comics, and there are some differences between how he's portrayed in the games versus how it is in the comics. That's something that's cool, is like they are not like 100, they're not trying to be like 100% like a retelling of the comics.
Right.
They do have their own take, which, depending on whose hands it was in, that could be a bummer, but like they do it really well. It's like Marvel level storytelling.
That's the thing. Like, it feels like it fits within the universe of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But it's not like, they're not like limiting themselves to just doing it this one way because of the comics or even the movies.
Yeah.
So they do a good job of sort of taking some liberties where they need to for this particular story. I thought this was probably one of the best stories of the year. Unless I play Alan Wake and it totally shakes it up. This is like best narrative, hands down.
Yeah.
I'm just so impressed with, like, again, beginning to end, everything just links together so perfectly. You really understand, like, why people are behaving the way they are. And even at the very end, when you, like, stuff happens, you're like, yeah, I get it. Like, this is what would happen if these things leading up to it, like, this is 100% what would happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, really incredible. And I think you're getting to a part now, too, where there's one thing that, we kind of both experience in the middle of the game, where the gameplay really kind of was heavy on Peter Parker. And we're like, oh, we wish we could play more as Miles. Mm-hmm. You're getting to the part where it's very back to being like Miles and Peter, like very equal. Yeah. So I felt like that was a good way to end the game, just like kind of seeing those two characters interact with each other.
Right.
And just like understanding their relationship with each other was really important as well. Mm-hmm. So I really liked the way that they kind of had this build up towards that as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I'll probably finish that in the next couple days.
Yeah.
And then I do want to check out Jusant, and it's great that that's short. Mm-hmm. Another game that I saw reviews started to hit for is Like a Dragon Gaiden, which people seem to really like. So
this is the Hawaii one, right?
No. This is back to the Kiryu story.
Yeah.
But people say this is like super good and like pretty essential. So I would like to check that out. That is another. It's kind of like that year we had those Pokemon games, kind of pretty back to back.
Yeah.
Where the Infinite Wealth is pretty early next year. So
that's right. Yeah, that's the Hawaii one.
That's the Hawaii one.
Yeah.
I'm curious how long this Gaiden game is. I don't want to burn out on Yakuza before that game comes out, but that sounds like maybe that could be next for me.
Okay, but I thought you were going to play Star Wars.
Star Wars is the game that just perpetually gets...
I think you should definitely try to play that game before Game of the Year stuff.
I will, and I agree, and I will.
You are our Star Wars expert.
I'm anticipating that game to be deep on sale over Thanksgiving.
Yeah, we need you to
that's,
cover.
That's what I have in the back of my head, which is I could probably get this game for like $20.
Okay, that's a way to think about it.
Over Thanksgiving, yeah.
All right.
So yes, the games continue.
Yes.
Let's move on to some news. This was honestly a very weird news week until I woke up to this. And thought, here we go. Here's some real news. Nintendo has added more bundles for Black Friday.
Or the bundles.
They confirmed the Mario Kart bundle like a long time, like 2 months ago or something. Of course.
They always have the Mario Kart bundle.
And that was a bit anticlimactic because it's the same bundle we've had and always will have. So we thought, well, that's just the thing. But, this is more the timing when they would announce their Black Friday plans.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so we have a couple new things. We have the Smash Brothers Ultimate OLED Switch Bundle.
Yep.
That's coming November 19th for $349. I think that saves you about 60 something dollars. I
Right.
saw people saying that has the design on the Joy-Con. Is
That's
this
cool.
how is this different from the bundle when the game first came out? That bundle did not have the game.
That didn't have the game.
You don't remember at all. Got
That
it.
didn't have the game.
But
yeah.
it had that same design, right?
It did have the same design.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So that's a great, and it has the OLED too.
It's the OLED.
It's not the
It's not the
jank
original
old model.
Switch. Yeah.
And then we also have this new
Joy-Con.
Actually, I think we may have done this. This looks familiar to me as well. This Super Mario Party Plus Joy-Con. It may be different colored Joy-Con.
Different colors.
But I remember this. This is ringing a bell to me. This is giving me some feelings.
Yeah, this is Game and Joy-Con.
Game plus Joy-Con.
We've had this before.
I thought so. So it has a red and blue Joy-Con November 10th. Well, that's later this week for $99.
Yeah.
So that's in addition to the Mario Kart. None of these are like, oh my God, level savings, but
Right.
it is a good offering.
Yeah.
And
they picked two games that are like
Games people want.
extremely popular.
Right.
Games you can again, they're always trying to get grandma and like the entire family to play over the holidays, and so having another like multiplayer game like Smash makes sense.
There was
or
always
Mario Party.
Every year there was always a little bit of like regret after Black Friday, like, oh, we didn't do enough. We'll do more next year. And it's like, well, here comes the Mario Kart bundle. It's like nobody learned. But this, I mean, again, nothing is that crazy of value, but there is more variety.
There's more variety.
So maybe that's their thinking is like, well, we'll get more types of consumers by having a wider range
Of different
of
kinds
offerings.
of multiplayer games.
And I mean, $60 savings, nothing.
It's not bad.
It's not crazy. I don't think at this point. I haven't seen the Sony or Xbox deals.
Yeah.
They
have deals?
I mean, you could do a very discounted Series S. You could do like a $200 Series S.
Whoa.
Like that would be a very deep cut, but I mean, who knows what they want to accomplish?
Yeah.
With Black Friday, they had typically been very aggressive with their deals. So we'll see how that plays out. I honestly don't do a lot of shopping on Black Friday, so
don't either.
I kind of don't care. But
Yeah, I don't either.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting thing to track.
But $60 is a pretty good discount. If you're buying
right.
it as a gift for somebody or something,
Right.
that might be nice. Yeah.
And then we got to look out for the inevitable Momentum release,
it's coming.
which would be like
That Monday.
that Monday
after, so the
following
27th,
Black Friday.
I believe is the date.
Because that's when
November.
Nintendo would put out like, hey, we sold
X, Y.
X number over
Yeah.
Black Friday. That's where we've not yet gotten really
A Mario Wonder.
Mario Wonder.
Global data.
or even like I don't think NOA data really.
Yeah.
They haven't said too much about that, so
Right.
they could pack a whole bunch of things
In that momentum
into
release.
that.
Yeah.
Or it could disappoint. We get nothing.
They could be disappointed and we get
Right. I mean, there have been years where it's like if we don't hit some number,
milestone,
then we're not
yeah,
going to do it.
exactly.
And that's definitely something that could happen. I think there's also
There's a financials coming
there's a
up.
financial update. I think this week.
Right. So
That,
maybe
that,
we
that
get
may have
some-
already happened by the time this is out.
Might get some inklings of what's going on. I'm sure they did fine.
Oh, yeah. This was a funny next story here. So there was some drama at Microsoft about how employees that were outside of the Xbox organization were losing this perk that they had, which was everybody got Game Pass Ultimate.
Wow.
And
That's a nice perk.
out of the blue, all of a sudden, the Xbox employees still had it, but everybody at Microsoft who worked outside of Xbox, so if I'm working on Excel, I no longer got this.
No.
And this caused apparently some amount of drama over at Microsoft, and people were like tagging Phil Spencer and like whatever the teams or whatever that they were doing.
Oh.
Like, what's going on?
In the Slack?
Teams! Microsoft
Oh,
Teams!
Of course. Yeah. Who can forget Microsoft Teams?
They made it!
Who can forget
They've
Microsoft
gotta use it.
Teams? Oh my gosh.
And he had to step in. And here is we have the internal memo that Phil
course,
Spencer
of
himself
course.
wrote. After looking into this more with the team, I just want to confirm that no change will be made to Game Pass availability in 2024. If you have access to the Game Pass offer today, you will continue to have access. I appreciate the time to get up to speed and sorry for the questions and confusion created. And thanks for supporting Xbox. So it sounds like he had no clue this was even happening.
And I guess there was no. It was fine in the end.
Maybe some benefits person was like, we don't need this anymore.
Turned it off, turned it back on.
Save a bit of money here.
What money?
Make these people buy it. That's the money.
That's mean.
Again, these companies got to make some money. They're desperate to make some money. Microsoft. When is Microsoft going to catch a break?
Come on.
When are those poor people at Microsoft ever going to catch a break?
Lowest thing on the list of things to do at this time. Jeez.
No, I mean, so it was interesting at Nintendo because our team, we did get samples of every first-party game.
Yes.
That was a very nice perk.
It was a good perk.
But a lot of teams did not get that perk.
Right.
And sometimes it was teams that you'd think should have that perk.
Right, and it was kind of unfortunate.
And they would come to us and be like, can you help me get a code for this?
we
I
would
worked
always-
on this game. Can
we
you
would
help me?
always
It's like, well, yes,
help
but
them,
why
yeah.
is this not just everybody?
We also had to beg for NSO family plan codes that one time because they didn't give us the NSO plan. And we were like, shouldn't we get access to NSO? And then they gave us a 1-year membership to it, I think. But yeah,
Under duress.
Under duress.
Yeah. Hardware was always the thing. Is like, you got to buy that yourself.
Hardware,
we never got hardware.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even the lowly Wii U, we had to go buy that.
We had to buy our own Wii U's. Yeah. For sure. Hardware was tough. Yeah.
Did you know that BlizzCon happened?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
I did, actually.
Yes, that happened late last week and into the weekend. Didn't strike me as the biggest BlizzCon ever in terms of things happening.
Yeah, seemed pretty low-key.
Yeah, but they did announce the first expansion for Diablo 4.
Okay.
Is coming in 2024. They also said it's going to add a new class. And the location of this expansion is going to be, where is it here? Where is it?
The location?
It's the jungle setting from Diablo 2.
Aha! Yes.
And feature Mephisto, who of course is a long-term... Why am I not finding... Oh, Nahantu. It's in the first line. Nahantu is the name of it. Diablo 4 is a game that we dropped like a hot potato.
We did. Maybe we should go back to Diablo when this launches.
Because we got early codes for Starfield, so
we played Starfield.
We had to drop Diablo 4. I would love to go back to Diablo 4.
I think we can at this point. Yeah.
The setting of this expansion, that was not my favorite area of Diablo 2, to be quite honest.
Mine either.
It was kind of like,
gross.
Mayan ruins in the jungle kind of thing. I was like, this doesn't feel super Diablo-y to me.
It doesn't feel like fantasy.
So that's not really super exciting to me. There was also they didn't say exactly what this new class was, but there was a data mine where people figured out a lot of things about this. So people are kind of putting the pieces together, and they think it's like
a druid barbarian
so hybrid. Spiritborn, they think, is what this class would be, which would be a new class for Diablo. And the description says, a nature-based warrior that cleaves through enemies with a glaive similar to a druid barbarian hybrid.
Seems like something up your alley. You could...
If I was to make a new character, and I still have my first character, which is barbarian, I would go druid.
So that's perfect for you.
I would go druid.
Now you have a druid barbarian hybrid, if that's true. It's kind of interesting.
Glaive? I don't know. What the heck is a glaive?
It's like a spear.
It's like a spear?
Yeah.
Not the biggest spear guy.
Really?
No. Oh. I want to really hack away.
I'm
just going to keep playing barbarian.
You do like barbarian.
Or you turn to the bear and just swipe at people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I want power. I want strength.
You don't have those
That's
things
what
in
I
real
want.
life. That's
but I want it.
But you don't have it.
I want
an upside down muscle.
Exactly. I want it, you see.
Okay.
Last story here, we were talking about Fortnite, and you were concerned trolling about the future of Fortnite.
I'm just saying.
So the new big update in Fortnite is the original Fortnite map.
Yeah.
And this is working. Apparently, they have had their biggest week in a very, very, very long time.
Right.
So they had over 5 million concurrent players. Over a 24-hour period, which they said was almost double what it has been having for the rest of the year.
Okay.
So I wonder if I have a feeling they probably knew, this is going to be pretty big. Because they did change, they changed the Fortnite map to something completely different a while back. Is Fortnite now a nostalgia game?
That's what I was just going to say, is it feels like... When you have to rely, though, on nostalgia, is that your last-ditch effort?
That's what I'm wondering, too.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
once that wears off.
Well, then
once
the second map becomes nostalgic, and you can switch back to that.
It's not gonna last that long. It's not gonna last. 2018 is when
Yeah.
they first played this.
This
Now
kind
it's
of-
2023.
This kind of feels like a last ditch.
It's like a last ditch effort when you
Right.
pull on the heartstrings of nostalgia.
And now you kind of have to keep it at this, or otherwise people would be like, no, this is what we actually wanted all along.
Right.
Yeah.
So you sort of
Take me back to the halcyon days of slamming Prime and watching the Five Nights at Freddy's movie while playing the original Fortnite map.
Yeah, good for them. I wonder how long this is going to be sustained for, because it is like it does feel like one of those like Band-Aid over the bleeding situation, So.
Maybe you just don't overthink it and be like, yeah, we're just going back to this. This is the map. It's great. It's iconic for a reason. We're just sticking with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
People can get bored of it. I don't know.
I mean, you can
Maybe
keep
not.
adding,
skins over it or whatever.
and other
Sure.
thematic sorts of things, or like limited time modes.
This is the map that we played when we short.
When was the last time you played Fortnite?
Oh, we were still at Nintendo at that time, I think.
You haven't played Fortnite since you left Nintendo?
I think so.
Oh no.
I have a lot of V-Bucks.
I have. You were obsessed with V-Bucks
I
for
was
some
so
reason.
obsessed with
Like anytime
V-Bucks.
you would get like an eShop character, like I'm immediately buying V-Bucks. And I would say, what are you doing with these?
I
You're
just
like,
wanted
I just
them.
wanted to have them.
I just want them. I have a lot still.
You should go buy something
I should.
before this game goes under.
Maybe I should play the OG map.
I think you should. I mean, it's still fun. Like I go back like
Remember that
very
one when
rarely.
I was a Bush and you basically had to carry me through the entire.
Yeah, very rarely. I'll go back and play it for a little bit. Like it's still fun. It's still good.
I think the ex Nintendo crew wanted to play this game as like a hangout game, so we should do that.
It's a great hangout game.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we'll see how long they support this. That's the news. Again, a very strange news week if we were not bailed out by these bundles.
Oh, the bundles.
don't have much here.
That's the way the entire
news.
thing is hinged on is
right.
bundles.
All right, questions from our Patreon subscribers. We get each and every question from our Patreon subscribers. First is from Frulio. Apart from getting fired, what were some common workplace fears at Nintendo?
Accidentally leaking something was a common fear,
Oh, man. Yeah.
right? Accidentally saying something wrong and then leaking something that you weren't supposed to was pretty scary.
Yeah, or like reply like, oh, I input the wrong thing into the Outlook and the email got sent to the wrong person.
Oh!
Like that would be scary. Like that happened.
That happens to somebody during E3.
Because like we work with like there are some people who would not talk to anybody outside of Nintendo. But like if you work with media or other people,
Your
like
emails are in
if you're
there.
just jamming away on an email and you do the autocomplete, it could be like, oh,
Like, it could be like Jason blah
it's
blah.
John Smith at IGN and not John Sutherland internal. Oops.
Yeah.
And then you could do that.
That literally happened to somebody that would work.
Like I would look very careful. Like yes.
Sometimes those 2 lines can get real long.
Yeah,
too,
you got
if
to
you're
scroll
sending it to a lot
down.
of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happened to somebody during E3,
Right.
and they sent an internal document to a journalist. Mm-hmm. That person was very nice and did not leak it.
Whoops.
But that leaks. Scary, scary things leak.
Yeah.
Other things, commonplace fears. Doing a presentation at Nintendo was terrifying.
Okay.
There is this thing that we used to have to do on the marketing team called a plan presentation. So every game that gets launched, every department has a person that is leading that plan for the marketing of that game. So like let's say you're working on Breath of the Wild, like you would have a PR person, a communications person on it, you have an advertising person on it, you would have like a retail person on it, digital.com, etc., etc. And then you would have to go into this big meeting with all of the Nintendo executives, like Reggie included, or whoever the president was, Doug. And you would have to present like what you would be doing.
What are you gonna do?
To launch this game or to support the game. And it was basically like you were walking into an execution range. Like you are guaranteed to be yelled at, to make you feel stupid, to basically have someone tell you that your ideas are terrible, and to just pick at you until you have nothing left in your soul. So like that's what those felt like, and it was like horrible to have to do these things. And then afterwards, if you didn't do a good job, which you never did, you would get yelled at by your boss for like failing. And so it was awful. Like having to do this was like such a thing of stress for a lot of people. People were traumatized from this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Probably could have come up with a better way of doing
I think
it.
so.
Yeah.
Talk about piling on, right? That was where, like, if anyone said anything, any executive said anything.
People were just like on eggshells for those meetings.
It was horrible,
Yeah.
really. It got better during the pandemic, actually, though, because people chilled out during the pandemic because there's like much bigger things to worry about, and because you didn't have to be in person, you could just read the plan.
You have notes
off of your computer.
Imagine if you had to do an in-person presentation now. What would you? You couldn't do it.
I mean, I could do it, but
could you?
yes,
really?
Absolutely.
No notes. No
I don't
nothing.
need notes. But not a Nintendo presentation because those are bad. But like I was laughing so hard because one of the people that we used to work with that was doing the social media section of the plan, like I read his notes during the plan presentation for like one of the games. He had written himself a script.
Great. Whatever it takes.
So smart.
Do it.
Because this is a terrible situation. I mean, terrible situation to be in. So he made himself feel confident by writing himself he even had like transitions. It was brilliant. It was like, this is like a little joke.
Jokes?
He inserted a little joke.
That might be going too far.
It was good. I was like, this is a good idea. Like, I wish I came up with this, because I would get really nervous about these too, and I would just like fumble my way through it. But like, he had like all of these like great transitions, like getting from one activity to the next. I was like, wow, this is so good. So good. But yeah, that was really scary. A lot of people were really scared of those.
Yeah.
Really scared.
There is the fear of just being on social media was one.
Oh.
And then the other fear for the people who were on social media was having something like go viral on social media. Oh. So I saw this recently. Again, I will not name who this is, but somebody who still works at Nintendo who posted that they worked on Mario Wonder, and they were like, "Oh, I'm so happy that people are enjoying the game. It was such a joy to be, have a very small role in this project," or something. And that post went viral. And the person had to follow it up with a tweet. It was like, "To clarify, I did not work on it was like such a like sad little thing of like, to clarify, I was not the game developer."
Somebody told him to do that. That's why.
Right. So it's like, first of all, why is this necessary? Why can this not just be a thing and without people?
That happened a lot.
Right, like that would instill fear of like, oh no, this very innocent nothing that I tweeted went viral. Somebody's gonna be mad.
I know. That's scary. People did get.
Did you have that fear?
I didn't because I knew better.
I never had that fear at all.
I avoided anything that was not like retweeting a Nintendo Minute, talking about what I had for dinner, and sharing a picture of my dog. That's still my Twitter now, so it's not exciting. But because I was like, I've seen so many people get like yelled at and get in trouble for something innocent, quote unquote, going viral, which was not their intention at all.
Right.
Like,
but I mean, there were some people who did some boneheaded things.
That's true.
On social media that kind of deserved that, but like,
there were also innocent
being
people.
Worried about something like that is like, you just kind of feel bad.
That was
that
was bad.
It's like, come on, we don't need that. Yeah.
That was bad. Yeah.
No shortage of things.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ninja 11 asks, "Hey Kit and Krysta, when the Switch 2 releases, how long do you think we will be seeing support for the OG Switch? Nintendo doesn't seem to fully stop making titles for old hardware until the new hardware is a guaranteed success. However, this decision came back to bite them as the 3DS Mario and Luigi remakes released during the Switch sold poorly as a result. How long will they support Switch 1 before only focusing on Switch 2? Thanks."
Yeah, we talk about this a lot, about this transition period being really tough, and like, when do you switch your resources over to like support the new thing? I think there's obviously going to be some period of time. I'm sure for like at least the entirety of 2024, if we are thinking Switch 2 will be announced, next year and released next year, for the entirety of 2024, they will continue to support the original Switch, especially because the life cycle has been so strong and the install base is like so massive. You want to give people time to like move over. Yeah. And also don't give them like a reason to stop playing your anything. Right. Like that's the sort of the really like wildly crazy thing about Switch is that like 8 years later, people are still like daily playing their Switch. You don't want to disincentivize those people to do that because you're not supporting it anymore.
I agree.
So, yeah.
I think the Wii U to Switch transition was different because
Yeah.
they just had to move on as fast as possible and
Yeah.
had no reason to continue to support the system that nobody liked.
Yeah.
So I think in this case, it makes sense to support it for a good while because you'll have people who, maybe it's hard to find. You just can't get one for a while. You want those people to not feel, like there's still something for them, or maybe there's people who need a bit more time or coaxing to make the move.
Yeah.
And again, you want them to feel good about staying you're still in the Nintendo ecosystem. Somebody who's playing is more likely to move on eventually than somebody who has just got the thing in a drawer and completely forgotten about it.
Right.
So I do think that's a good best practice is, if you're going from a positive system to another one that you hope to be a hit, don't just pull the plug. There are some examples of pulling the plug. There were always very specific reasons for those companies to do it. Like the first Xbox was such a slam the door.
We gotta
because
move on.
I mean they just had so much new, like moving to HD. We got this new version of Xbox Live. Like this is just so much better in every possible way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
And I think this point about 3DS too is really interesting because that was like that transition from having two systems in the ecosystem in like the world, right? Like you have like a handheld and a quote home console, and this consolidation of that is largely responsible for the success of the Switch, I think. So it'll be easier for them, honestly, to keep supporting Switch 1 when we move over because they don't have to deal with that oh, but this was only on a handheld. That audience is a little bit different, and then we had to do all this stuff for this, home console. Like it feels very cumbersome to have all those steps, but they won't have that problem this time.
Managing your inventory becomes a thing
Yeah.
here because you do want to sell out of all of the old things. So, if you stop releasing games, that might not happen, and you're just stuck.
Right.
With all of these, they will eventually do steps leading up to the Switch 2 to start to move that inventory, but there is a best way to time that as much as you can. So there's a lot of considerations. Banana Bread Slice is next. Hi, Kit and Krysta. Several of your Nintendo stories revolve around business trips you had to take to demo games for journalists on the East Coast. With the post-pandemic advent of better ways to do video calls and screen sharing remotely, do you think Nintendo is still doing these trips, or will that become less of an emphasis? Or will nothing replace playing games in person?
Yeah, Nintendo definitely, we worked with what we had during the pandemic when we were there. We definitely tried to do things remotely.
How quickly did we get a solution for that? I'm trying to remember.
We were lucky because we had just implemented a Zoom right before the pandemic. Remember? Right. It was not pandemic related. It was just we are upgrading our video conferencing systems. And largely that was because we had all those remote offices and we were working with, people in Nintendo Canada and other parts of Nintendo or other parts of the country. So I think at Nintendo, they're really lucky because right when that transition was happening, the pandemic happened.
Yeah, it could have been bad if they didn't have that.
Didn't have a solution that would have been bad. So that got up and running pretty fast, and there is a way to do it, with video calls and stuff like that. But yeah, I really don't think there's a way to replace playing games in person though. Nintendo's fully gotten back to.
You need to take your shoes off and put your bare foot on that balance board.
You need to luge in a skirt. And everyone needs to watch. But yeah, I feel they're fully back to their old schedule of press events and trips. There's so many New York trips that happened already this year to do these kinds of in-person gameplay things, preview events. That's what we used to work on all the time.
It is good to have this as a fallback.
Yeah.
If this person's not available that day, or remember when I told the story of the blizzards, how are you going to make this up? Well, that's how we could have made it up.
That's true.
We didn't have that back then.
We didn't have that back
so
then.
it's a nice fallback, but they're back to doing that as the priority way of doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Gartooth asks, now that you've each played through Mario Wonder, where would you like to see 2D Mario go from here? Would you like to see them make a sequel building on Wonder, do a Mario Maker 3, or do a completely new concept for 2D Mario?
I definitely don't know if I want another Mario Maker 3. I feel
Oh, really?
I feel like I might be over that genre.
Oh, I disagree.
You want to rewrite the wrongs of Mario Maker 2?
Yeah, Mario Maker 2 left me with a bad taste in my mouth.
Okay.
Mario Maker 3 doesn't have to be like the next thing in 2D Mario. They can do it whenever they feel ready. But I do want that. I still think there's a lot of great ideas there. They can get the online right, hopefully, and recapture that Mario Maker 1 feeling and make it more of an ongoing thing, I feel.
Okay.
I would love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I haven't run out of ideas, unlike you.
I have so many ideas, but I feel like that type of game exists. Like Mario Wonder 1 was one of those things, Mario Maker 1 was one of those things that like existed in a different world almost. And I don't know if we can replicate that, and I'm just scared of being disappointed again, because I really was for Mario Maker 2. I would really just like to see them push what they are doing in Wonder, like some of those ideas in Wonder, like further. For 2D
so like a Mario Galaxy 2, just like keep building on the same idea.
Yeah, because there's so many creative ideas, I think, that are in Mario Wonder. Like one example is like they really went deep on like music and rhythm. Like could they push that aspect a little bit more?
Bongos?
Wii bongos.
Bongo controller?
Wii bongos. Do that with your shoes off.
Foot bongos. Got it.
Yeah, but there are so many, like some of these Wonder effects, they were like very short, you know, and very like contained to one level, and that was it. Like, is there a way to build out something into like a bigger presence in the game? Because some of them are so creative and so much fun. Can we add more like power-ups? Is there other cool transformations that is like an elephant that can push, you know, the gameplay of a 2D Mario game? Like, I would love to see that.
The reason I said they can do Mario Maker 3 whenever is that I don't know how you... So those Wonder effects feel very hard to put in a Mario Maker game.
Yeah.
Because they're all just, you know, these one-of-a-kind things, and we've got, 100 of them. Every level has a different one. So I could see, maybe they could make like 20 off-the-rack ones that are kind of like the most universal, but that feels like you're missing the point of the surprise of that. So I don't...
Unless you can make your own Wonder effect.
I don't know how you can do that.
How would you do that?
That seems like way too deep programmy.
Right. How would you ever do that?
Not for the general player sort of thing. So that's that. I like your idea of, because Mario Galaxy 2 started as Mario Galaxy 1.5, but they just came up with so much more. I would like that if they have enough to sustain that. That could be cool. But I do hope that they learn from New Super Mario Brothers, where they just drove that thing into the ground.
Yeah.
Of just let's come up with the next idea for 2D Mario and let's move on to that. So that could be a whole new graphical look, a whole new gameplay hook, whatever it may be. Don't feel like just because this was popular, you have to keep doing that, because we now have the proof point that can get stale.
Right. I wouldn't say like just make it like super repeated like that. What happened with the New Super Mario Brothers series, but there just seems to be so many creative things, like creative threads that can be pulled a little bit more from Wonder, that I would just love to see. Like if certain aspects of that game was given its like more attention, like what could that look like? It would be really cool. Let us ride a Yoshi in the next one, please.
Yeah.
Would like that.
Badman Horizon asks, hello Kit and Krysta, when you create custom characters in a game, do you try to make something as close to the real you as possible, or do you take the opportunity to try something different? I'm constantly torn between creating myself to feel more in the game or being something different than what I am in my everyday life. What is the real you, by the way? I don't know yet.
What do you mean? You do know.
I don't know.
You're looking at it.
I don't know.
Who's the real you? You don't know that either.
It's a secret.
Look in the mirror.
It's a secret.
You don't know. I use the opportunity to create a custom character to try out different hair colors.
Oh.
So I'll usually like create a character that looks kind of like me, but with a different hair color, to see if I like that hair color. And if I do like it, then I'll dye my hair that color.
Huh.
That's what I do.
Okay.
What do you do?
I will usually try to get close to myself.
Yeah.
And these character creators are so detailed
They
now.
are so deep
Like you can
now.
do it.
Yeah.
But in the times where you can't, so like Baldur's Gate actually had a more limited character
Yeah.
creator than you might think. That's where I was like, all right, I'm imagining this character that I want to play as.
Right.
And I'm going to work towards that. So like
Yeah.
I was a dwarf. And I was like, what's going to look like the coolest dwarf
Yeah.
for me? And I was very happy with how my dwarf
Right.
turned out. It was definitely not based on me, but I still liked it a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tuskoob asks in our final question, hi Kit and Krysta, amid such an intensely release-heavy season, I must ask, how do you balance completing new games with playing older titles? Do you tend to go back and find classic titles you missed out on to play, or do you stick to what's recently come out? Thank you for your insight.
Gosh, I feel like I've just been barely keeping up with the recent releases. So I really haven't had a chance to even go back to my backlog at all. Literally at all this year. I've just been barely keeping up with all the new releases. So this year was definitely different because usually I try to balance it between a new game and then like something in my backlog. But not this year. This year has just been like...
Well, then like February next year, you're going to say, I'm bored. I'm so bored.
I'm going to get bored.
There's nothing out. It sucks.
I'm going to get bored. I'm definitely going to get bored. You know this is happening. Then you're going to be like, you can play this game.
That happened. We had like a 1 week break earlier this year, and you were like, I'm so bored.
I was bored enough to
Can't
play
believe
Fire
it.
Emblem Engage.
That was a mistake.
That was a mistake for sure. That was okay. And then it wasn't. But yes, this year I have just been playing like heavy hitter game after big game. I do like that some of the new games, like Jusant, for example, is great as a palate cleanser between two big games. So I'm glad that these more contained experiences still exist and gives you a breather. Because like after playing such a huge narrative game, like going to the next huge narrative game seems like overwhelming. So you do need that little palate cleanser. So I do that, but I haven't been doing that with older games this year. So
yeah, I don't think like you can't force it. Like if you want to be a part of those conversations with new games as they come out, you kind of just have to say, well, that's what I'm doing now.
right.
Because those do have a limited window, and they've never been more limited than like where you have like a game of the week and people talk about that and then people move on super fast. Like I already feel like I'm behind the curve on Spider-Man. I feel like
You're behind.
I feel like everybody's moved off on Spider-Man.
We're done. I'm
I'm a
behind.
loser.
You are. You're all behind.
Jeez. So, but yeah, it's just about like making the most of those little pockets of time that you have where you can try something different. Like, remember I played Gravity Circuit like 2 weeks ago, where I was like, oh, Mario Wonder's like I have like 5 days before Mario Wonder comes out. What can I squeeze in there?
That's true.
That's where sites like How Long to Beat are super great because it's like I just want to find something. I think I have this many hours. Like, what will work with that?
Yeah.
Where I can feel like I've seen something or completed something in that time. I do think next year will be better.
I hope so.
I think it will.
I also want the opportunity to just play my games a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like if I didn't feel the need and desire to move on to Alan Wake, for example, like I'd probably spend more time in the Spider-Man universe to do the side
I have
quests.
thought that of like how will that constant movement from game to game impact how we remember these games in like 5 or 10 years?
Yeah.
Like will Spider-Man 2
Feel like
stick
a blip?
with you the same way some of these games when you had just so much more time to savor it?
It's true. Yeah. I
Guess
think
we'll see.
the only game that was like a savory game for me this year was Tears of the Kingdom.
Right.
'Cause I played that for like 180 hours.
Yeah.
I don't think I've dedicated that many hours to any other game this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Interesting stuff.
Them's the questions. Thanks everybody for sending those in.
All right. Should we shout out some of our beautiful superstars?
Let's do it.
Okay. Aaron Hash,
Ban Icorn,
Maru Mayhem,
Eigenverse,
Kiss My Flapjack,
Mike Chin,
Roy Eschke,
Switching It Up, _
Safazon,
VGM Life,
Link, the hero of Winds,
Angela Bycroft and her pig Molly,
Thomas O'Rourke,
Kyle LaBeouf,
Roberto Nieves,
Frederick Ulf Conradson,
Andrew Uhas,
Chili,
Bruce Dash,
and Rain Tech.
whoop whoop. Okay. And our wonderful One Up Club members, A. Ron Burgundy,
Ale Alejandro,
Astro Dev,
Awesome 46,
Bad Moon Horizon,
Ben GB,
Blue, Yellow, Gray.
Bookem Dano.
Bookishly Fab.
Brook Obscura.
Cameron.
Chelly Squirrel.
Christopher Lay.
Captain Alex.
Primcat.
C. Roper 17.
Dachshund.
Doinko.
Dolce.
Dino Punch.
Elite Peach.
Espars 50.
Fart Priest 69.
Fairbound.
Fernie and Jess Forever.
Fox Deploy.
Garrett Hallfish.
Garth the Wolf.
Gartooth.
G Sun 101.
Heroic.
Iris Marin.
Jay Rando.
Jabroni Jones.
Jeffrey Hernandez.
Jerry 92602.
Jesse Hernandez.
John Responte.
Jonathan Rowe.
Jordan Collette.
Jordan Hemmerly.
Joshua Clements.
Juji Fruit.
Just Camtro.
Justin Lemminger.
Kawa 2796.
Keith Kwan.
Kevin Delane.
Kilo Kibo.
Kristarati Kid.
Christopia Party With Me.
Kyle Gamer Barry Rookie.
Kyle Kretzer.
Linnell Stickman.
Lex.
Lit.
Luminous.
Mad Dog 5981.
Magnificent EZG plus Callie Marie.
Marky Man 64.
Mecha Dragon 101.
Megan.
Michael Kravitz.
Mikey.
Motomania.
Mr. Andy Pong.
Mr. Beans and Dip.
MSM Poke Gamer.
My Tran.
Nasir.
Nathan Burkhart.
Ninja 11.
Panda Buns.
Pangy.
Paul C. Pace.
Paul Gale Network.
Prime Factor.
Prince Charmless.
Raver.
Ryath One.
Rob Osborne.
Rocks.
Ryanetta.
Sharif Jackson.
Sheer Cold Vanille.
Shinryu.
Slowbro.
Snaddle.
Spicy Munchkin.
Steel Citron.
Sunny Gaduru.
Tales of Link.
Terror Storm.
The Shark Among Men.
Thomas Alvarez.
Three Rivers.
Hofer Schmofer.
Torcheeks.
Travis Torline.
Trajawi.
Tugs Puppy Bear.
Tusku.
Tyler Geis.
Vesves.
Video Game Stupid.
Viridian.
Virtual Bot.
Weeb Kingdom.
WG Grizzy.
Wicked Davy.
Will Johnson.
Zoodiver.
Zelgoroth.
Zapati.
And Zroid.
Nice.
I got Zroid. There was
It's different every week.
the different edition.
It's all different every week.
I love it. I love it. Well, don't forget to subscribe to us on patreon.com/Kit and Krysta to help support everything that you see here.
If you're watching on video, you can go ahead to subscribe to us on YouTube, this here channel. You can give this video a thumbs up and also leave us a comment or a question. If you are listening on audio, you can also subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a comment if you please.
And we're on the socials. We are Kit and Krysta on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Threads.
We'll see you next week in our new digs.
Yes. Look forward to it. Bye.